Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order at 6:02. Welcome everyone to the Wiseburg Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting for Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Wendy, would you please take roll call?
Dr. Goldman,
Happy to be here.
Ms. Cappy,
Present.
Mr. Gatsby, present, Mr. Martinez.
Happier to be here.
Present. Thank you. Our next item is we're going to move to the Pledge of Allegiance. And for today, I'm actually going to have Ms. Subaki please lead us in the pledge.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today, we do not have any items to report out of closed session. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? We're on item 4.1.
So moved.
Second.
There was one adjustment, correct? The Blake, the district would like to pull item 9.8, is that right?
Yeah, pull 9.8.
Which was to approve license and service agreement for MIS Subject Technologies Incorporated. Any other adjustments to the agenda?
I just wanted to move a special presentation number 6.2, just flip flop it with 6.1. So
Correct. We will be doing our Wiseburg Middle School update first, and then we'll go to the design team update.
Right.
Okay, just swap these.
The question was it 9.8 or was it 9.6 that was the master services agreement with Hazel Health?
Yeah.
9.6. So that would be 9.6. So 9.8 would remain on the agenda. We're pulling 9.6. Good. Next, we are going to go to public comment. And I do have, for items that are not on the agenda today, we do have Ms. Kelly Shoemaker. And the topic is considering the perspective of teachers and staff and program implementation. Kelly, if you would please come on up. And we do have 3 minutes. Based on the Brown Act, we cannot comment on the items that you present to us today, but welcome for joining us today.
Thank you. Good evening, Wiseburg leadership and fellow staff and community members attending in person or online. My name is Kelly Shoemaker, and I'm a Holly Glen TK teacher and GC member. At the end of last school year, I made a statement to the board requesting that decisions be made in a timely fashion with clarity and attention to their impact on students and those who are closest to students every day. The only response I received from a district leader was, "You think we sit in our offices all day trying to make your lives miserable?" None of us here today are trying to do that. We are all here because we love this community and we are dedicated to Wiseburg students and their education. Rather, there exists a disconnect between the work being done by district level administration and the reality of what is happening at our school sites. Listening to school board meetings, I do not hear conversations about how policies and programs will impact the people working at our schools. The glossy presentations usually feel like celebrations of checking items off a to-do list, absent of input from the teachers and staff responsible for implementing these programs. Some questions are asked, some concerns are raised, cursory answers are accepted, conversation moves on to the next agenda item. TK expansion, Eureka Math and CGI, capturing kids' hearts, PLCs, implementation of effective reading instruction based on getting reading right training, iReady, the dyslexia screener, new report cards, writer's workshop. That is 10 district initiatives that need to be implemented with fidelity and maintained in order to have positive impacts on student learning. This list does not include all the construction and refurbishing projects Wiseburg is currently managing. What does it look like, sound like, and feel like to be a teacher who is trying to implement 10 district initiatives but does not feel supported, even though our district level administrators are celebrating with the school board that our enrollment numbers reached, quote, the number we budgeted? This statement highlights the disconnect between district level administration and those who are closest to students every day. District administration feels they have accomplished their task by funding the budget, while teachers and staff feel unsupported and poorly equipped to do the work they must do to teach and care for students every day. I urge the school board to engage the services of a consultant to create a staff satisfaction survey. A factual analysis of the data collected could then be used to make budget and policy decisions to strengthen district initiatives, allow us to provide joyful learning experiences that help all Weisburn students learn at high levels, and ensure that those who are closest to students every day feel supported and well-equipped to care for and educate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we will go to item 6.1 now on our agenda for special presentation from Weisburn Middle School. Let's welcome Principal Lisa Wilbur.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the board for the opportunity to share with you some updates from the middle school. I'm excited to share with you some of the things that we've had going on this year. Let's give it a moment to come up. Oh, thanks. That one.
Clicker should work now if you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Amazing. So similar to the other school presentations that you've seen, we're going to go through priority and just share some of the information about what that looks like at the middle school. So for the priorities for reading and math, I'll kind of just give an overview of data, talk about our goals, and then talk about some of the actions that we are planning or already doing to hopefully achieve those goals. So we'll go through them in this order. I also did add our mission up there because we are focusing on the district priorities, but we're doing it in a way that aligns with our school's mission, which is together we empower a community of kindness and personal growth. So we've been focusing a lot this year on the ideas of community and of growth as we're going through and sort of determining what our actions are going to be. So to start with reading, this is an overview, and I know you've seen similar charts from some of the other schools. So this is where we began the year for reading. This is school-wide, so this is a combination of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as we did our beginning of year assessment in iReady. So when we looked in totality at those results, it's interesting because we have almost 40% who came into the current grade level already at or above the incoming grade level, which is great. We have actually a smaller band who are right in the middle at 24%. And then we have another larger band that almost is the same as our green band who are in the red. So this is how we began our year. So those were 2 or more grade levels below. Which is kind of interesting because it's a little bit different than what we'll see in a little bit from math. If you notice in the bottom, the placement by domain, the top 2 are really foundational skills. So we'll see that most of our students coming to middle school, thankfully, have those skills shorn up by the time that they arrive in 6th grade. The area of the sort of greatest needs for us would be in vocabulary and then also informational text. And I know our teachers are working very hard, particularly on informational text. It's a focus area for us. So what are our goals looking at those numbers? In alignment with the other schools, we're really aiming as we bring iReady into the middle school and into all the schools in Weisburn this year to make sure that we are testing at least 90% of our students. We were way above that at the beginning of the year. I think we were at like 967 out of 972 or something. It was quite high. Almost the entire school was tested by the time we finished the window. We would like to, by the end of the year, move 10% of the students from those red categories from 2 grade levels or below up into the yellow. And then similarly, we would like to move 10% from basically being approaching grade level into the at or above grade level. So we want to shift. We want to focus, again, in alignment with our mission statement on that growth for students kind of across the band there. We also would like to achieve Trailblazer status in Beanstack. So Beanstack, and that's a screenshot at the bottom of a program that we are using for independent reading that we are just rolling out within the last, I would say, 8 weeks or so at the middle school. So we know that we were very excited to have iReady because it's giving us really rich information for our students and it's going to help us set goals. But we have a little bit of a concern about what we were going to do for independent reading because we didn't want to lose a culture of reading at the school. We still wanted to emphasize how important that is. So we are trying a program called Beanstack, which is really focused on making sharing what you are reading fun for students. So they log in, they can share reviews with one another, they can friend each other and see each other's bookshelves. If you're familiar with like Goodreads for adults, it's sort of a student-friendly version of that. So we are rolling that out and we're also figuring out how we can set challenges, how we can tie them to incentives. Our wonderful librarian is helping us with this. So it's sort of something we're in the process of trying to maximize right now. It was very exciting actually because they told us in Beanstack to set, according to their algorithm, 100,000 minutes as a yearly goal, and we're already at 31,000 minutes, which was awesome to see. We kind of breezed through the beginning because it was really kind of a soft rollout. We were really just saying, hey, this is cool, kids, try this out. We're going to try it together. We're going to see how it goes. And we're already at 54% student participation, which is great. So the goal of Trailblazer would get to 75% student participation. We want to make sure that we are keeping our kids actively reading and then hopefully continue to go onwards from there. It's about finding a balance between prioritizing building reading skills, which we think iReady and MyPath will really be helpful with, but also reading stamina and independent reading. We don't want to lose that because we are only giving students shorter passages like on MyPath. So we're trying to really find that balance. That's a goal for us. So things that we're doing, we're using our iReady diagnostic data to guide and personalize instruction and monitor progress. We're very happy with the data that we're able to see from iReady. It's very rich. We have set a day of our pod every week for students to be specifically focusing on their ELA iReady MyPath, so that we're making sure we have that time built into our schedule. We're continuing that encouragement of independent reading through Beanstack, and then also supporting cross-curricular targeting of the ELA essential standards. So what I mean by that is this. Up on the screen is a picture of our teachers from our Weisburn Institute at the beginning of the school year. Part of what we did in that time is for teachers across departments to share their essential standards, and specifically for the English teachers to share, these are what we determined to be essential. Science, social studies, how can you support us with those essentials? And math did the same. And we had cross-curricular conversations about how we can basically teach English, not just an English class. So that's one of the things that we're focusing on as well to try to bolster our ELA. Moving into math, a similar graph for math. So you'll see 27% of our students were entering above grade level at the beginning of the year. 38% were approaching grade level, which isn't too terrible as you're starting a school year. That's not a bad place to be, but 35% were 2 or more grade levels below. And if you see, geometry was our challenge area for math, while measurement and data was a relative strength.
Lisa, can I ask you?
Yeah, please.
So on the ELA numbers, it looked like you had more students that were below the 2 grade levels below than in math, even though you had more students that were higher.
It was kind of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it is. They're similar, but it's by about like 3%. Yeah.
38%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is there, I mean, is that concerning, I guess, in the ELA side versus, you know, I know we often talk about like our math scores not being as high or whatever in the middle school, but if we have this larger chunk of students that are coming into 6th grade
Yeah.
with, you know, a larger deficit to meet on the English side, how do we balance those things?
Yes. So yeah, I would say it's something we want to watch for sure. I think the level of concern right now, I think, is going to be dependent on our upcoming assessments, because I think as we start this year and are very excited to get the information from iReady, it was also the first time that students took the diagnostic. And I think because it was the first time and it is lengthy, and they did take math the first week, And I think we noticed that they were getting a little bit sluggish second week for ELA. And that's not an excuse, but I am very interested to see where the window opens up for our mid-year assessment right when we get back from winter break. And I think we are all really interested to see what those results are going to look like. And if it's going to hold steady with these, then I think we need to look at bolstering some actions for ELA and what we're doing. But I think we don't know quite yet.
As a follow-up comment to that, and I don't know historically the numbers, but based on the final outcome at the end of the year, then this would indicate typically that there's a bigger swing of improvement in ELA than there is in math.
Yeah. And we can also look, and I'm happy to share, and I think we're going to come back. I think all the principals will come back second semester, and then we'll have more to share with you, because we can also break it up by grade level, because it's also interesting to look at the differences between grade level. We know, for example, between certain grade levels, there's a bigger jump in the rigor level of the standards. It's interesting to follow cohorts from grade level to grade level. Since this is the first time we've administered this, we're a little bit limited in our ability to do that yet, but we're excited because there's so much information that it's providing us. We also, and I'll talk about this, I think in a moment, we're excited to have students reflecting on their scores. So we were able, iReady has been very supportive. Maggie's been very supportive. We just actually yesterday, a trainer from iReady came out and we worked on how we can use data chats with our students, because we really want them to have this information for themselves and be able to then see their progress, be able to look at how many minutes are you spending, how many lessons are you passing, what is your goal for yourself? Because I think the more we can have that information not just be for the adults, but also be something that students are owning, the better. So we are just going to be starting that. The teachers gave us great feedback, and the students are going to be doing that first data chat ahead of our mid-year assessment. So they're going to do it this week or the very first day we come back from winter break.
And one additional thing, this is the first time we're doing this. This is before we even started teaching, basically. This is our starting point. So I think it would be very interesting for us to keep an eye on what is the learning loss between the end of the year study and the next year start study.
That's a good point too.
And so that might be part of what's happening here. So that's very interesting to see this. And I think, I love that we're doing this. I love that we have goals, and we need to be open-minded and flexible because we're learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're thinking about all sorts of things, like what are the implications for our schedule, for how we do intervention at the middle school. So it's really a lot of information gathering as we go through this year, but it's exciting. All right, math goals. So similar to ELA, we want to make sure we are assessing at least 90% of students. We feel really confident that we'll be able to do that. And then by the end of the year, also to move 10% from tier 3 to tier 2 and 10% from tier 2 to tier 1. And to adopt a new math curriculum, which we're very excited about. And I know Maggie's going to share more about in a little bit, but part of what we realized, there's not really a reason that we would be waiting on that right now, given what we were seeing from CASP last year, what we saw from our beginning of the year, iReady, which was similar to that, a need from the teachers who had been sharing a desire to look at some new high quality instructional materials. So our math team just yesterday started learning about their first curriculum that we'll be piloting. So we're really excited to move forward with that. And I know Ms. Mayberry is going to share more about that in a little bit. Our actions this year for math, using the iReady diagnostic information. We also have a day of the week where students are specifically focusing on their math MyPath. Also cross-curricular targeting of math essential standards, not only in the math class. Ms. Compton has been helping and working with our 6th grade math team, which we're excited to have her supporting the middle school this year, which is something new. Before we began the school year, we did empathy interviews with 6 students at each of our grade levels who came in because we wanted to hear how students were experiencing math at the middle school. It was really exciting, and Ms. Garcia, myself, and Ms. Compton each ran a grade level group, and we just gave the students a chance to share, like, how is math for you when you were there? What is working for you? What do you like during lessons? What don't you like during lessons? And they gave amazing responses. I was with the group of incoming 6th graders, and we had to really cut it off at an hour because they could have kept talking. So it was really wonderful. Yeah, it was really, Amy teaches sixth grade. She's like, yeah, that tracks. They talk, but it was great. So something we'd like to continue doing, just so we're making sure we're hearing student voice about how our practices are impacting them. The math pilot of the new curriculum, and then also some visit to other schools, hopefully to see math instruction, which Ms. Mayberry will also share more about. All right, a little bit about science, and I put and others because really a lot of these things extend across our subject areas. So we're continuing to work in departments on learning progression ladders for essential standards. And I'm going to show you an example because I think that's a lot of jargony words. So I'm going to show you an example on the next slide that I think shows more clearly what that means. But the work that we're doing with that, which is in alignment with building our as professional learning communities, also supports the design team work and the changes that we are working toward in our grading policies and how we think about learning and assessing for learning. We're working on a shift in mindset from individual planning time to professional learning time. So at the middle school, we have 3 to 4 p.m. on Wednesdays, but our teachers also have a planning period, and there are other teachers who have that same planning period. For our core content teachers, it matches up. So if you teach English 6, you have the same planning as the other English 6 teacher. But we also realize we have a lot of singleton teachers who may not have, like our Spanish teacher, right, drama, PE, they may not have a partner. And so we're thinking about how we can use those planning times as collaboration time, and not only those 3 to 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. We really want to think of any time we're working together as collaboration time. I really feel strongly about encouraging teachers to observe lessons in other classrooms. So in work talking with Guiding Coalition, we have some plans to really bolster and incentivize that for our teachers that we're going to be working on as we come into the new semester. And then connecting students to their iReady data and goal setting through those Dolphin data chats, which I shared about just a moment ago. So the students are aware of their own progress and are also goal setting. So this is what I was sharing about before. This is an example of a learning progression. This is from 7th grade science. So shout out to Mr. Myers and Mr. DeJesus. So basically it involves taking one of the essential standards. So at the top is an essential standard for Science 7. And then really thinking through, okay, to meet this pretty rigorous grade level standard, what are the different steps that students will need to take to get there? So it's breaking it down into kind of manageable pieces. So that the teacher is more clear, and also so the students are more clear about what the expectations are and how to get students where they need to be. So all of our content area started with this work last year. It came out of all of the Guiding Coalitions participating in the CAPS network, and it's continuing this year. All right, and then the last priority, student wellness and safety. So we have a teacher leadership team, our core facilitator committee, who meets twice. They met this afternoon, twice monthly. So a little bit of restructuring at the middle school. So we basically now have 2 main teacher leadership committees. We have our Guiding Coalition, who focus mainly on instruction, and then we have our core facilitator, who focus on broader school climate. So they meet twice a month. We have a weekly pod structure. So in our advisory, we have a structure that we follow each week. So Mondays is math for iReady, Wednesdays is reading for iReady. Everyone has a flex day on Friday, but there's also the ability for teams to have some flexibility over their Tuesdays and Thursdays. So do they need to focus on organization one of those days because they're seeing a need for their team? Is it that they're going to do a lesson from Capturing Kids' Hearts one of those days? So it's structured, but also allows some flexibility. We worked on clarifying some behavior systems, so making sure that everyone is clear on expectations for how to use Educator's Handbook, how to write things in a way that is kind of systematic across the school. We had an updated student expectations assembly that was updated with the help of Ms. Hackett and Mr. Perlman at the beginning of the year to really make it more engaging for students. So as we start the year, they're not just listening to basically a huge list of rules. We tried to make it more interactive for them so that they know the expectations, but they understood the reasons behind them, and it had some very funny gifts. A consequence matrix that our core team revised, and then also starting a program called RISE, which is being run by 2 of our PE coaches, Mr. Williams and Mr. Alvarez, which basically provides us an option for students who are having repeated behavior infractions. So we wanted to have something teased out where if students are doing maybe something over and over again, what happens then? And so Mr. Alvarez and Mr. Williams are very excited about this option. So basically they, during the lunchtime, have small groups where they meet with students and they do reflection, they reach out to families, and they work with the students over a 3-day period, and then they keep track of them and they keep checking in with them periodically on Mondays and Fridays beyond that. We're really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Mr. Williams and Mr. Alvarez are really building strong relationships with students. And so really happy that we're starting that this year. Really excited. We'll do the California Healthy Kids Survey. I'm excited to see the results of that moving forward. We've been working to grow our after-school activity options. This was a need that I had heard from parents when I first went to PTA last June. So we've really been working hard to align some of our systems for clubs along with our ASB. I'm pointing over here because Amy and Brandy are ASB leads. And we want it to be that we are able to offer clubs that students are interested in. We're able to compensate our teachers. So we have a bunch of clubs that are starting. We have chess and checkers. We have crochet. We have an aerospace club that I think is starting. We have choir. We have a bunch that have started or are about to start, and kids are really excited about them. So happy to be able to offer more things. And then we're just this week trying something new, which is it's a work in progress, but on Mondays, instead of just having our audio announcements for students in the morning, to be doing it live on Zoom, featuring different people around school, including a student from ASB. And we're hoping to keep building that, because making more student content and being able to demonstrate more student voice to the students is really important. So, sorry, I'm a talker. Shocking, right? That's it. So I just wanted to say thank you. I had to highlight, these are our 4 ASB officers this year. And when we had our visit from the California Schools to Watch for our redesignation, which we passed, which is very exciting, they led the tour. And they talked more than any other adult. And it was like just a wonderful thing. So that's Jaden, Logan, Sammy, and Sophia. And they were asked, and they had no prompting, in one word, describe Weisburn Middle School. And they said, one of them couldn't be there that day. So there were 3 of them. And they said, welcoming, safe, and fun. And it was just the best. So I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Happy to answer any questions.
Any question, Neil?
I do have one, just a point of clarity. I'm not sure either one of you could probably answer this. Obviously, love the goal of 90%. Would love to be 100%. Can you help us understand the process? If we miss the day, if the student is absent, have they missed the opportunity to take the test? Is that the issue?
No. Well, if a student, so 100, I agree. Like we should be basically almost at 100. It would be if a student
make up, because this data is so
you
valuable.
can, but we have to set a window of timing. So if let's say a student was significantly ill and missed a couple of weeks of school, okay, they may just miss the entire window. But I think we had about 5 students or so and at the beginning of the year, we also had students enrolling. Some kids come late sometimes, but it should be a very minimal number of students who really have some other reason, because we are making up for majority of students. If they're absent, they are still coming and doing it.
Yeah. Okay, that's
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lisa, first of all, for the presentation.
Of course.
Wonderful. I'm excited. We're capturing the data. One thing I would be curious about, and it probably goes with you and Maddie, is you mentioned that instructional text and vocabulary are the biggest challenges, along with geometry.
Mm-hmm.
So
Informational text.
Oh, information.
Informational. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. I would like to see if there's any kind of direct correlation from the elementary school.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maggie, we know that.
Yeah, it's not on. Yeah.
I saw it in a demo yesterday. The issue that was identified in elementary was informational text. So yeah.
It's county, state, and
yeah, it's across the board.
A lot of times geometry being because it's what you save to the end. If there's time in math, a lot of times some things take longer, and so it's skipped over. And it happens statistically. It's also a one course. It doesn't build on itself like at high school. It's a one course geometry. We're done. We're moving back to algebra 2 progression. So it's not looked at as seriously, which is something we need to look at like as a district and beyond our walls as well.
Well, this is what's exciting, right?
Yeah.
We're starting to identify,
Yeah.
drill down, and then, now we seek to see how we can improve, right? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
both.
Thank you all.
Moving to our next presentation from our design team, and Maggie, you are up.
I am up here and I'm going to introduce and present with Ms. DeSalles, a third grade teacher who is a design team member from Aviation Elementary. She's going to be the representative from the team. Along with, I'm going to interject with some middle school information as well to help lead what we had done in our October day with the design team and how we quickly shifted our professional development day based on feedback from our teachers and our design team. And so we're going to share about what we did those 2 days. So Ms. DeSalles, come on up.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Michelle DeSalles. Do you want to go to the slides and then?
Yeah, I'm trying to click.
Should be. Is it good?
I'm trying. I have the worst with this.
Good luck with that.
I know.
Will you click and
Yeah.
then maybe I start?
You can go start and then we'll get the slides up there to help.
Okay, so, oh, there you go. So last year, the grade levels chose math and language arts essential standards. So that began last year. And then moving forward with the design team, then we started off the year and a lot of our talks revolved around essential standards and how we decided on a 3-2-1 grading process. We looked at schools that used a 4-point and a 3-point. We also had conversations with schools that had a 4-point and went to a 3-point. And so we came up and decided that we had a 3-point rubric. We have beginning, developing, and proficient. So
Maggie, in this way.
Close my eyes. I looked right away.
We're gonna fix this by January.
all right, well, I'll continue.
If you aim at Jim, somehow it works.
So then,
Keep going.
so then the design team,
Last presentation, I'm not sure
Okay.
what to say.
so the design team then went and presented to their staff. So,
Page down, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, we're at the picture with the infographic, how we're using our assessment philosophy to guide us. If you go to the next slide, it shows the language that we came up with to talk about our various levels. So we're like 2 more ahead. 2 more.
oh, sorry. I was like, okay, we're finally on it.
Here, we'll go
Okay.
this one.
So,
We'll put it out of order.
some of the changes that we wanted to make is, we didn't want the students to say, is this going to be graded? Is this a test? So we wanted to be able to provide feedback where we can give them more clear vocabulary, whether it be with Quizlet and other information, to be more precise and student friendly. Students will often say, I'm sure up in the middle schools more, how do I get a few extra points this semester? And so it's just really encouraging them to not only give them just the formative and assessments, summative, thank you. And also show them within those assessments what they're doing well, and then maybe areas of improvement, and really trying to focus on it from a positive perspective, because we all have things that we're working on. And then kids get frustrated, like, it's so hard. I say last night, there's kids with test anxiety. And so it's kind of putting a little bit more on the students, as well as asking. Teachers are giving information, but students also have accountability with asking, what it is that they can do to improve in an area. Yep. Okay. This will be coming soon. So we decided on our words beginning, developing, and proficient. And that may sound like that's just smooth breeze, like that should take 5 minutes to discuss. In actuality, you know, it took a while because we had to decide, you know, there's words like emerging and starting or developing, you know, and we wanted to make sure that we were clear within our words. So we are very, very selective on the beginning, the developing, and proficient. As a design team, we came to that consensus, then went back to our sites and presented this information to them, kind of explained the background on how we got our information, why we came up with those words, and then just kind of asking them for a little bit of feedback, but asking them to also trust with us on those decisions, which they very much did.
At the middle school, we're using the same vocabulary with the 3-2-1. One of the big highlights that the middle school came to consensus on November 10th was at the elementary levels, we are focusing on like a particular standards, like knowing your numbers 1 to 100. The middle school is focusing on the domains of their subject area. So like, for example, in science, the 3 science domains of life science or biological science, physical science, earth science. So they're taking their units of instruction, which are based in these domains, and will be reporting out on their report card on the domain. So it will look a little bit different than the elementary level, but a lot more detailed than what we're currently giving.
Just
We're giving up on
a
the
quick
screen.
comment as you're going here. This is so impressive to me that I did not realize. I realized this was empowering the teachers to give you data on the students. I don't think I appreciated it's also empowering to the students to have this data.
Right.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I just didn't take that leap, and that's great to see.
Right, and you could see the work of the middle school doing that in their data chats with their iReady, and that's something we're getting, you know, we're also going to try to work towards at the elementary level, so you're providing that, thank you. Another big part of our day was success indicator thinking. And so the language that we're using for like our citizenship and our work habits. So we were using the model from Roseville Elementary School, which were in grade band, which were given in grade bands. And so Ms. DeSalvo, if you want to give a little bit of detail at the elementary level.
Yeah, so we looked at trying to, when we made the definitions, to make them in a positive way. So what students can do. So more like I can do, I'm working on, I need improve. Oh, it's not up there. All right. So trying to get them to, like I said, be accountable for their learning as well. Being teachers to be able to give specific feedback as to what specific things they need to work on, instead of just saying you need to improve your punctuation, like being more specific. And then we felt that would also be extremely helpful, not only to teachers, to students, but at the parents as well. And then
at the secondary level, at the middle school, being at, that's something that would happen in each classroom. And so they would look in the aspect of creating a rubric for student engagement, having to do with their work habits, and then their citizenship, their actual behaviors within that classroom. They are still making decisions as a team. Is that going to be done? Like how that will be reported? Is it going to be one comment that's going to be made, or is it something that's going to be done per period? And that's something the design team's getting feedback on from their different teams. You know, one of the big differences is just using different vocabulary to tell what a child is able to do. So are they able to behave? Do we say, no, they don't sit in their seat correctly? We say, are they able to engage in grade level tasks? You know, are they progressing in that, giving parents that information of where they're meeting their child where they're at. And then our November day came together where people like Ms. DeSalvo actually led each grade level. And so go ahead and share with your team what had happened.
Yeah, so we broke up into, I think most of our grades were 2 in a classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. So like the 3rd and 4th grade teachers were in the same classroom, building on their essential standards and having conversations. And so as far as third and fourth, we were discussing each essential standard, breaking it down, and in all math and in language arts, because you have to remember that we picked these essential standards last year with like, that was one task. And so now it was like, okay, bring it. And how is it going to look in a report card? And so we had the opportunity to meet Aviation Del Air and have conversations about essential standards.
And we built a template for teams to fill in. So we said, here's what the design team had said what they liked, like this is how the name is going to appear, how our logos are going to appear. Now let's start figuring out what are we going to say under reading foundations? What are going to be that we're actually assessing on and giving feedback to parents on? And so we started to really narrow down what that's going to look like for the future in each of the grade levels. And then the middle school, we're working on the domains and how they were going to report on the different domains.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I know teachers are also very interested in allowing not only to be across Del Air and Aviation, but also to go and have the opportunity to understand the second grade standards and how might little tweaks that they do be beneficial to us, as well as what we can do to kind of support fourth grade. Not that people aren't doing their job, but what it is. So those discussions definitely need to be had, and we're working on it.
And we created a hub for all of these. So now members of the design team and even teachers can see what other grade levels are assessing on, like as we're building out these report cards. So it's a pretty amazing process to watch all the different voices that are involved in it. And then our next design team meeting is on January 15th, where we are going to really start to narrow down that asset-based language around our work habits and our citizenship and behaviors. So we'll have more information once that team has met with where we're at in the process. So each of these meetings, you can see we're doing a lot of work, and our amazing team members are going out and leading their teams on this drive and this change that we're making for our students. So thank you for coming up and presenting to us. Sorry about the technology not
It's
working.
all right.
We worked on the presentation.
All right.
We worked on it too.
There you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie.
But do you have any questions for the two of us? I'm sorry, I didn't ask that before.
I
we-
was gonna ask that, but-
Yeah.
One thing I learned recently from talking with you was that the essential standards for, I believe K through 5 there's 5 for each subject.
We said about 5 to 6
5
is
to
what
6,
is
okay.
what
Is that
kind
same
of our
in middle school?
research has guided teachers to choose. And that was something that we thought was a pretty fair number when we were deciding what they are. And we called it guaranteed viable curriculum because statistically, if we were to teach every standard line by line, the way it should be taught, and we did the intervention that it would take over 25 years to get through public school. We have 12. We have 12, right? And so now we have 13, we have TK. And so that's a new set of standards that wasn't in this algorithm. So what are the ones that we know if a student doesn't have the next year, they're going to be burning the day they walk into their classroom if they don't know. And so no one knows better than our teachers what those are. And they chose, we're able to choose those. And we're really working to build units of instruction around them. And that we will then be reporting back
That
to our
kind of
families.
focus is just really exciting.
Yeah, it really is. And that is the work our guiding
And then is that
coalitions
the
and our
same?
teachers are doing.
I'm sorry, is that the
Yeah.
same in middle school as well?
Yes, this is.
5 to 6.
Yeah, 5 to 6,
Fantastic.
and each department was provided time to
That
develop.
seems like
this.
a daunting task. Thank you, teachers. What a
Yeah,
daunting.
it really was. And they're so collaborative in choosing them. It's like one of those things that you think that someone, you get like married to a standard that you love or a unit that you teach, but our team just so cohesively agreed on what these were. It was a great couple of days to see.
And just to kind of add to that too, like, as we're looking at our central standards, like currently we're in finishing module 2 in 3rd grade. None of our essential standards that we chose were in that module. Now, it doesn't mean you don't teach module 2. You still do the important and go through it, but maybe you don't spend the same time. Maybe you blend in different lessons to each other. So where we had a pacing guide, now it's going back and revisiting the pacing guide to align more with our essential standards. So there's still a lot of work to do.
Awesome. work.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Our next presentation is Dr. Matt Wonder. The presentation will be regarding Da Vinci Rise charter presentation. We're going to give it a few minutes to make sure the PowerPoint is up.
We're good the first one, I don't know what happened there. Can Steve double check it?
Yeah.
Works well for you, yeah.
From back there.
Yeah.
It works for
Yep.
everybody but us.
Taking your car to the mechanic, right? When the mechanic tries it, it all works fine.
Because it's going to the cloud and coming back down.
Okay, no.
It doesn't feel good.
We got all the fun out for everyone.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Wiseburn Board of Trustees, for having us. Thank you, leadership, staff, community members. We are really grateful to be here tonight. My name is Michelle Rainey, and I support all of the Da Vinci schools with curriculum and instruction. I have the honor of working with Maggie on various things, and it is really a pleasure to be here. One of the responsibilities that I have is supporting our schools through our charter renewals, our charter authorization, and you've seen me come before you in the past with Connect's charter petition and with the renewal of our various schools last year. And we are here tonight. I'm with my colleague Erin, so my colleague Naomi, and we are presenting an opportunity and a request for you to consider authorizing one of our fantastic programs, Da Vinci Rise. So I'm going to hand it over to Erin, and I'm going to do my best to do your clicker. And thank you again.
Awesome. I can do it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. President Banuelos, Vice President Goldman, thank you. Trustees Cappy, Legaspi, and Martinez, thank you for your time. And Superintendent Silvers, thank you. My name is Aaron Whalen, as Michelle shared. I am Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, collaborate with your teams, quite frankly, and they're amazing. And also, I am the co-founder of Da Vinci Rise. And so we are in an incredibly exciting moment in Da Vinci Rise's history. We're in a reauthorization moment, which has allowed our teams to dream and think about what is the preferable future we want for this school that actually began here in Wiseburn Unified. And so what we've been really thinking about is what are the most meaningful partnerships and models that can help continue to drive us towards our vision. Throughout that process, Youth Build, which some of you may be familiar, is a workforce innovation program, which allows folks to be authorized in a way that would allow us to come back to Wiseburn. And so I can share more about that, but ultimately we were founded here in 2016, the Shasta case, which provided ed code that would not allow us to have a campus-wide or a district-wide authorization and still operate, happened. And so we had to go to Los Angeles County Office of Education. We are in this amazing juncture now where our partnership with Youth Build would afford us an opportunity to have discussions around what it would mean to come home to Wiseburn. Oh, no. Okay, great. Yes. Okay. Nope, too far.
It just takes 5 seconds for it to go to the cloud.
So excited. No, I'm so great. Okay. So Rise. At Rise, we know that young people live complex lives, and through that, we need to build models that are trauma-informed, personalized, and also relationship-driven. And so through that, we understand that every young person deserves a school that understands how they learn, what they need, and who they want to become. Cool. As shared, our origins are here in Wiseburn. We began through the Da Vinci Wiseburn partnership in 2016. And so this model that has gotten national recognition started here and was incubated here first. So since then, we've gotten the $10 million XQ Super School Prize for being an innovative school designed for youth at the margins of our communities, understanding that that will build an amazing institution for all kids. Also, we were deemed one of the most innovative schools by the YES Prize. We were Assembly finalists there, which is a national honor. In addition, Teach for America labeled us as a school to learn from and really looking at models that can serve young people who are often written out of the larger educational narrative. And then obviously being a part of the Da Vinci Schools Network, being seen as one of the most innovative educational organizations. But most importantly, we believe that that brings us deep into alignment with Weisburn's designation as a digital promise, innovative school district, and all that we've heard tonight around the way that you all treat and think about young people. So in terms of the model, really looking at a county-wide campus, thinking about multiple small learning sites that are co-located or share services with nonprofit organizations that can provide wraparound. So a lot of the times in the crisis moments, that's when our young people drop out of school. RISE brings that into the school model and infuses it into the day with addition of flexible scheduling and then all of the signature practices of personalized learning to ensure that we can maintain services to these young people, all undergirded by trauma-informed care. A few important points. We do have 2 current campuses, one in South Los Angeles with an organization called A Place Called Home, and a second in Hawthorne with an organization called Richstone Family Center. All of our staff are trauma informed, which has led to a 0% suspension rate in 2024, which we're incredibly proud of. Obviously, the year is still going, so we'll see where we land. But most of our work there and our training there is focused around not continuing the school to prison pipeline, but looking deeply at what young people need and what are the causal factors of behaviors that we see in all of our schools throughout this time. That way. We're also really excited to share the outcomes, which you've heard a lot about tonight, and we think we should be sharing as well. 82% of our students met their ELA growth goals last year, and 76% met their math growth goals. And so for a lot of folks who know kind of the continuation school realm, that's exciting and really powerful data as well. And then when looking at our culture data, our students are happy, they feel like they're a part of the school, they feel safe at school, and they report that adults at school encourage them to work hard. And so our big goal is, how do we continuously balance and use this trauma-informed and empowering community to drive outcomes in both kind of in directions of math, ELA, and everything in between. Additionally, a big area of focus for us was our 1-year cohort graduation rates. We get a lot of our young people that are overage and undercredited, so the graduation rate is a really tricky metric. And so you can see in 2022, it was a very low graduation rate in terms of young people who in their cohort year graduated in that year. And so we have raised just in the past year about 48.8 percentage points. And so we're now at 72.7% of our young people are graduating, which has gotten a lot of recognition and conversation in the house. We do what we do. Additionally, we are already serving Weisburn youth. We have had 58 Weisburn students serve since our founding in 2016. We also have 8 current Weisburn residents in our schools, and 25 have been successfully graduated from Da Vinci RISE. Additionally, 21% of those young people were special education, 53% were free reduced lunch, and 14% were English language learners. And so truly a return home, but also we have been here and serving the young people that we share and are really proud of that. So future vision, where do we want to go from here? Through the Youth Build authorization, Youth Build is an academics, career training, leadership, and community service kind of framework that we would be looking to adopt, would allow us to, 1, maintain stability at our current community-based organizations. So the ones I mentioned, one in South LA, one here in Hawthorne at Richstone Family Center. It would also allow us to operate across multiple communities, still anchored in a strong, trusted district partner, which would be you all. Deepen our focus on purpose, belonging, and career-connected learning. Provide a consistent relationship-centered environment, and build a sustainable and long-term governance and funding model. It would be a dream to have Da Vinci RISE also under your authorization so that we could have all of our schools within the same authorizing body. Additionally, when looking at the larger model, just seeing a kind of a visual of that, we would maintain our existing Richstone campus, our Place Called Home campus, and then a new kind of innovative offering, something that we would love to share with you all, is a proposed micro campus located at 550 Continental Boulevard here in Weisburn, which is currently where Da Vinci Connect High School would be. And so it would be a space within that high school where we would like to open up a micro school of Da Vinci RISE. Much more about that. This came up one at a time, lots of words, but it wasn't when we designed it at first. So if I could focus your eyes on the left side, RISE Micro Campus, it would be incredibly micro. And so it would be a small 25 student or less school program, not simply solely middle school, but there would be about 5 spaces for young middle schoolers who may need that early intervention and who may be those tier 3, tier 4, if that exists, young people who might need that support in the transition from middle school to high school, who may be at risk of being kind of at loss in the high schools or in the middle school transition. It would also allow us to support students before struggles escalates, align with Weisburn's commitment to whole child education, and there's also no operational or financial burden on Weisburn Unified School District. Reasoning for that is that we would be designated as a nonprofit public benefit corporation, which shields Weisburn from financial liability in our model. Additionally, for Weisburn families, it really would allow local access to this nationally recognized model that's pulling data from these young people and really doing right by them in terms of serving them forward. A continuum of care from middle school into high school in terms of the micro campus and allowing some of those spots for students who need it most. And then a school design for students who need the flexibility that the model offers. And then in terms of Weisburn Unified, it's a powerful mission-aligned partner, a resource for students at risk of disengagement. I mean, that is the heart of what we do, as well as a lot of national visibility as a district leading youth-centered innovation and a return from a school that was created here. So ultimately, this is the beginning step of what we hope to be a larger conversation, but we wanted to just talk through bringing RISE home and how that could affirm the belief that every student deserves a pathway that meets them where they are. If we were to get your consideration, the dream roadmap would be pretty fast. But tonight, obviously, is the initial conversation presentation. The dream would be to submit to you all by January 15th in terms of the new charter petition. The public hearing could be that February 12th. With approval between February and April, and then be ready for opening in August 2026. But ultimately, thank you for your time and consideration. And if there are any questions, I am here to answer them.
Thank you for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions. So one of the things I'd like to get some clarity, if you will, on what is the Youth Build entity or that partnership. Big part of this is because, as you mentioned before, obviously RISE was established here in Weisburn back in 2016.
Yep.
And with that Senate bill, legislation happens, it changes, right? What would be that program? I don't know if it's a program, if it's an entity. What happens if that entity also disappears or there's something there? And I see Matt raising your hand. So anybody, please take that question. I'm trying to figure out like the future with that program.
Yeah, so Youth Build, and everyone. So we've got a good community behind me. So
Topic, all right.
Youth Build is designated as a workforce development program. There's Youth Build Global. There's also Youth Build here in America. But ultimately, what they do is provide career support, community service, as well as a school program. And through that, instead of becoming a learning site, you become a partner site, and that allows you to be removed from the Shasta case that makes you stick to a district.
History-wise, Youth Build started in Harlem 47 years ago. It came to California. The founder of it in California, a guy named Phil Matero, worked with Governor Brown. So in the 1992 Charter School Act came into place with a man named Don Shalvey, some of you may know. They wrote this carve-out legislation into that and allows for any district in California to offer any Youth Build school anywhere else in California. In terms of, Naomi will share a lot more about sort of the programmatics of it. There's a high school piece, and then there's also this very strong education to employment piece that is in connection with often trades, very hands-on, but their connections to early jobs in reliably middle wage, middle skilled jobs. Again, a lot of the trades. So like the Compton Youth Build has carpentry.
And culinary.
And
Yep, and then they have a college prep pathway. So if you're researching it, when you look at it, you'll see both Youth Build Charter School of California, and you'll see Youth Build Program, Youth Build Global. So it is a very strong partnership in both program, as Matt mentioned and Aaron mentioned, and the charter school component of it. And the legislation allows for you to also be a Youth Build affiliated charter school, so that you can operate under that legislation, under that legislative carve out that allows you to operate in countywide areas.
And would Youth Build be a party to an agreement with Wiseburn and Da Vinci, or is that just a program and they're not in the agreement for a charter petition?
It's a great question, and we haven't explored that, but typically they're not a part of the charter petition.
But their mere existence and approval in the state provides the conduit and window for us to take potential authorship outside, with locations outside of our boundaries.
Correct.
And through the reauthorization process of looking through our petition, finding the revisions closer to mission, we had a few meetings with Youth Build. And ultimately what they shared was you are already running and operating a Youth Build very much like Youth Build site. And so integrating that into the future petition is pretty seamless. So it's not that we would become something new, as in we'd be getting better at what we are currently doing.
So another question, in terms of the financial solvency and stability of the program, what is the status of the XQ grant, the $10 million award? I believe that was in 2016. Is that fully expended, fully utilized, or is there still monies remaining in that grant to utilize for the program moving forward?
Yeah, so that's a complicated question. So the grant has been spent throughout the period of time. We've received a secondary grant and we have continuous partnership through XQ. But if the question is really kind of how those monies were spent, we can bring that back and share.
I think maybe.
No, it's looking more towards the future.
What is the viability? What's the financial strength? Where is additional resources coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah, right. So it was 2 million a year for 5 years, so that's been expended. It is based on the ADA and based on the enrollment. It's almost break even. This guy is a masterful fundraiser, so that provides a lot of additional support for wraparounds. This would be under the Da Vinci board. And I think you're aware of our financial ability to pay our bills. So it is solvent and it would be backed by reserves, and this guy knows all the funders.
I'm gonna go to my right here with Neil.
Follow up to that, what is your, what is the number of students roughly this program serves currently?
Currently
we're
140.
No, 160 with the 5 extra that we talked about today. 160.
160
students total.
And just to be clear, the proposed microsite at 550 would be about 25 students, and we would have space for however many Wiseburn Middle School students that you deemed appropriate.
So roughly 160, but you're thinking of growing more, or?
We projected out 200 students, but it would be capped here within the Wiseburn attendance boundaries. So those others would be at a place called Home or Richstone or.
Okay, so the total between
200.
3 sites would be more than 200, right?
No, I'm sorry. Thank you, Nelson. 200 would be the max.
The max.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what is?
We're also open to, like, if you have other numbers that make more sense.
Yeah,
we
no,
should
no,
have
I'm
that
just trying
conversation.
to, and what is currently, because you mentioned your financial, obviously for all of us, right, is ADA. What is your ADA currently?
ADA is currently
73 average.
73%, which is actually pretty darn solid for students who have so many competing things against their attendance.
Yeah, and then going back to the Youth Build program, you used 3 adjectives: workforce.
I did. It was
workforce?
career training, leadership development, and community service.
Okay.
That is the program, and then the school component of academics.
Okay, and this community program, Youth Build program aligns with your RISE program?
It does. It does. We have 2 pathways now that we've begun: a mental health pathway or health services pathway,
Health science pathway.
health sciences,
corporate
digital media.
Yep, and digital media. And then we would be looking to start a more trade focused, either carpentry, construction, or welding. So we're exploring what is the most viable for a micro, like mobile site. So leaning towards welding or construction. About 98% of youth build program schools have a construction pathway. They're also looking to grow in the digital media area. So they were very interested when we shared about our growth and our work in digital media. And so they are very focused on project-based learning. So that is the core, and service-based learning, community-based projects. That's the core, and a lot of soft skills development, leadership development. So really ensuring that any student that enters, it's very aligned with any student that enters Youth Build. The goal is to be able to build up their skills, personal skills, time management skills, preparedness skills, so that they're ready to be productive members of society and are trained up to either enter an entry-level job associated with either trade unions or viable career pathways, or prepare them for community college entrance or entering trade school to further their studies based on their interests. So they kind of have multiple pathways within, which also aligns with the work that we do.
Roger, last question, I promise.
I'm just gonna go down this way. Michelle, you're next. Neil, you're next, and you don't mind.
Like I said, we only got 10 minutes, so this is not much.
You presented, you did
That
your
was for your presentation, so well done on the presentation.
Last question. So did you have the 3 sites and now you're looking to close one of the sites and open here, or how?
No, we have 2 existing sites, so the South LA and the Richstone Family Center. And then the proposal would be to open up the micro 25 students or less site at 550 Continental.
That would be the 3rd site.
That's correct.
Fantastic, thank you.
Michelle?
Thank you so much for your presentation and your question.
Neil?
You asked most of mine.
Oh, great. All right. We're making great
First
time.
of all, irrespective of any of this, thank you for what you're doing. You know, this is a population that needs servicing and help and support, and God bless you guys. My understanding is this is part of wraparound services that you meant, so I'm trying to get a sense of that. Candidly, when you're telling us about Youth Build, I'm confused as to where Da Vinci starts and Youth Build and stops, and Youth Build starts and stops. That's confusing to me. And honestly, a little concerning, because it feels like who's running this program. So I'll just be transparent with you. I don't know if you can talk to that, or just general wraparound services, just to get a sense of this in its entirety, not too long, but just the big picture.
If I may, think of, you may be familiar with Schools to Watch, right? So it is more of a designation, but they really lean into support and expertise and being part of the network.
What does that support look like? Is that dollars? Is that people? Is that resources? What is that?
I think it's more, here's not a playbook, but here's how we do what we do. So it's professional development, it's the ability to go visit and see what's happening there. It's relationships with their folks in the trades. It is mostly intellectual. They don't provide financial, but that's not an area we need from that.
That was a really important question to us as well, as we kind of looked at what are the options and what would they afford. And we have been in the same room as Youth Build since founding. And so then it became this conversation over much more years than just reauthorization around the alignment of what we are currently doing with our pathways, what they're doing with their trades, how they're operating, so those are things that are important to us too, is making sure that we can continue to do all the things that we just shared while having this designation, which it seems would be more additive than subtractive.
But we only recently learned about this legislative opportunity, which is, just a few months ago.
That's sufficient. Thank you very much.
Okay. Rebecca?
I have 2 questions. So just seconding, Neil's comments about, I'm grateful that you're servicing this population. Obviously, it's one that needs, additional supports and that sort of thing. When I looked at the Youth Build program, it looked like it served primarily students that or young people who are 16 to 24. And you're talking about middle schoolers. So can you help me understand better how the program is aligned in that way? So that's question 1. And then question 2, so you take whichever order you want, is I understand we're the place where you all started, but you've been successfully operating under LACO's charter, authorization. And so I'm still a little bit confused about why not stick with LACO and why come back to us? So those are my two questions for you.
I can answer the second. I can answer the second
I'll
one.
drop it.
So the Lego component. I would say from my vantage point in the work that we do, it would be a dream to have Rise within the same as Da Vinci and the rest of the schools. It is twice the amount of reporting and work to do the two. But I also think in terms of mission and vision alignment, there's a ton of alignment here in Wiseburn, and it's also where we are. So we had never, but when the Shasta case occurred, we never were able to dream about what it would mean to be in this designation. And then now that we have been able to see that as a possibility, we knew we needed to immediately give it a shot. Because of the alignment, and we've realized over the last 10 years of operation how important that alignment is, and we spend a lot of energy, and it's all worth it, but reporting and re-reporting and providing those.
We estimate about a 30% decrease in data and accountability requests that, and also like business office support. So it would be, efficiencies of service. It'd be one less board meeting a month.
One less board.
One less board, yeah. And those trustees who've been exceptional as well, would be invited on to, our education foundation board, which is transitioning to kind of an innovation engine.
I guess just a follow-up question on that before you get to my second question, is has there been any indication from LACO that you were not going to be reauthorized? Just, has that been a concern? Because I'm hearing you say there's lots of alignment here and that sort of thing, and I'm just reading between the lines. Is there not alignment with LACO?
Yeah, so I spoke to
Apologies for being
Indra
so blunt.
Ciparelli. No, thank you. Spoke to Indra yesterday. He's head of a charter school office. He has shared that we are, we first have to turn in last time it was 287-page charter petition, which they will go over. And they have their metrics, and we've been one of the few DOS schools which we've met. I think some of our data needs to improve for sure. Great respect for LACO, for everyone who serves there. It's a very political board and a very political place. And we would love to come home to an authorizer who cares about accountability, but cares deeply about kids and doesn't play politics. And I hope they're not watching.
All right, so the second question about the 16 to 24-year-olds that typically served by Youth Build versus the middle school program that you seem to be, that you indicated you want to build here in Wiseburn.
It's not right. It is 16 to 24. There's an opportunity to be not part of Youth Build, to build the middle school piece and for 9th and 10th grade. I don't exactly know how it works, Rebecca, but
sorry, that just confused me more, Matt.
It sounds like we're making logical confluences between two disparate items that the Youth Build gives you and potentially has the opportunity to authorize you, and the programming is distinctly different.
Well, it doesn't have to be distinctly
I mean,
different.
they're not necessarily
They're
tied.
aligned.
They could be independent.
Right. I think technically legally we would have to piece that piece together, but in terms of the heart and soul and the content of what we teach in Wiseburn and what we do at our middle school too, I think it's very much in alignment.
I guess it's just more about the 16 to 24-year-old pre-apprenticeship program. I'm just curious how that fits in with what you all are planning, like whether that will actually be offered or whether you're, do you see what I'm saying?
Thank you. I see where we're going with it. So I think you may know, and maybe I've been remiss in sharing with you, we started a program this year called Life Launch, which aligns with, right now it's basically, it's 13th and 14th grade. We don't talk about that because older students don't want to be part of high school anymore. And it's located over there on Utah. And so
program, Matt, or school?
What's that?
Lifeline? Did you say it's a program or a school?
It's a program It's a program within the school, and so students stay on, they get college support, they get wraparound, and they're currently working in, to get drone pilots licenses, private pilot's license, and on the healthcare side, it's certified nursing assistant, farm tech, and emergency EMTs. So these are students who may need a little extra support and may not find a lot of community in community college or the university.
And it's a like 2.0 of what was Da Vinci Extension, so that may be more familiar to some of you from the
So it
longevity.
operates under Da Vinci Extension?
Da Vinci Connect.
Or Da Vinci Connect?
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, way back.
Thank you. Those
So I
were.
think we're just about at 15 minutes, right?
7 more presentations to go.
I think we are gonna wrap it up there, and if we have
Yeah.
some more questions, I think we'll work through, Blake,
Yeah.
to poll the board. If we have some more questions, we'll definitely submit those, and we'll follow up for next steps as well. So
Thank you all so
for
much
your
for your time. I
presentation.
also didn't get a chance to introduce the school principal, Naomi. Jump right in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are right on track on 10 minutes per presentation. So we're going to move on to our next, but thank you, everyone. As you can see, there's a lot of interest and great things happening both in Weisbern and Da Vinci and other partnerships. So we're going to continue on with our last presentation. And we're going to go to Measure EE, our bond program update. And can I go ahead and ask Noemi to please come up?
10 minutes? I don't know.
So we set a great precedent for 10 minutes.
I felt a lot longer. Okay. Good evening, board. Pleasure to be back to provide bond program update number 19. So I'll try to go very quickly. The first project that I'm going to discuss tonight is the SLC relocation project. We are actually now really starting to make some progress. For a while, I was getting a little worried with the contractor. He was not performing at the level that we expected. Manpower was just not there. He missed some critical path deadlines, especially over November, our Thanksgiving break, where essentially the campus was dark and a lot of the work could have really been accelerated, and it wasn't. We have sent a 48-hour notice. You can see here, I sent a 48-hour notice to CURE, basically outlining all of the areas where they were being deficient. They were not providing sufficient manpower. Their schedule updates were not coming in timely. They're failing to provide, even though we would meet weekly for the owners meeting, they would have outdated 3-week look aheads or just dates that they were missing. So I jotted all down. I documented everything, issued the 48-hour notice, was very clear as to what are the remedies that we were expecting. And within 48 hours, they did immediately respond. They provided a revised monthly schedule, an accurate 3-week look ahead. They immediately started bringing in manpower, which is exactly what we were asking for. And in the last 3 weeks, this was sent out on December 1st. And to date, we are tracking. So you can see here, the last update that I put on here was on December 9th. And this is the manpower that we had. Now, it's a very small project site. So as you can imagine, 16 members.
That's a significant increase.
It's a lot. And in fact, some of the days they've decreased to about 12. Just because some of the trades, when you're working on top of each other, is just not effective either. But that's, it's a schedule issue. He has been threatened, the contractor has been threatened that if he doesn't meet the required timeline that we've given him, we're going to start assessing LDs, liquidated damages at $1,500 a day. That got his attention very quickly. And really quick, I'm going to go back to change orders. As you know, the board has already approved 2 change orders to date. There is a third one that's coming. It's a significant one. Then the reason why I have not brought it in yet, and it's a combination of several little items, unforeseen conditions, and just some other issues that I'm going to share in just a minute. But because up to change order 2, it was still under the 10%. The third change order will immediately go above the 10%, which requires additional steps. I have brought it up before. We have been working with Hugh Lee, and we'll be bringing, once we're ready to bring the final change order, it'll be in the form of a board resolution indicating that we have exceeded the 10% threshold. It's allowable, but it's an added step. It is taking shape. As you can see, all portables have now been painted. The post for the decorative steel fence is already in. You could see to the right in the far corner, the bollards, when they were initially installed, they have now since been primed and painted with marine grade paint. So those are looking complete. We do have an issue right here, which is a major issue at the ramp. As you can see, there's a significant drop. Per the drawings, this should have been a 6-inch drop, and then it would have been finished with an asphalt toe. We're just feather the asphalt up to it, which is very typical and common. In this particular case, it's a 12-inch bust, which the grading was off, and not by the contractor. It's an error by the architect, a significant error, because this adds to my delays. And it has taken 3 weeks just to reach a viable solution that would work. We explored adding a concrete extension, doing a ramp extension. The problem is that, I'll show you in another second. Here you can see a close-up. That's significant. And remember, these are students that require accessible path of travel. This is not going to work. Oh, especially someone short like me. Every time I try to go, that's very high. You can see we have another ramp on the side of the building. That's correct. That's really only about a 5-6 inch drop, which once we come in with the asphalt, they'll feather that in and it'll be fine. That's not a problem. But they have to, and I'll go back to these pictures in just a second. I don't know why I didn't put the ramp immediately after. So from the parking lot, we have to provide accessible path of travel to the main entrance of what the new campus is, the new SLC campus. As you can see, essentially provides an area where you can easily identify that you have your truncated domes, your handrail. You can see the guardrails are starting to be installed. And basically that leads all the way up to the main entry. Well, with this issue, with the bust and the grading, that is not lining up. So essentially what we are having to do now, and we came up with a good solution, is working with NextMod, which is our continuous deck manufacturer. They're going to provide a 12-foot ramp extension. We're going to have to do some regrading along the side. So those first initial 3 posts for the fence will have to be removed, basically cut down. We're going to extend the ramp. We're going to move the main entry to here. Oops, between those posts. If I could just get it to stay there. So, and then we'll add some new truncated domes, and then it'll lead right up to that path. So it's just going to require building that up with a concrete curb, some additional asphalt, plus a 12-foot ramp. These costs are not all identified. Right now, the only cost I know, and that you'll see at the next board meeting, we'll bring it for approval, is the NextMod cost for the ramp, which is actually not bad. It's under $7,000 for the installation and the fabrication of the extension. The unknown cost yet, that is, right now the plans are back with JR Universal, the contractor, for pricing for, like I said, the new concrete curb, the regrading, removal of those fence posts, adding additional truncated domes. These costs, I will be fighting with PBK for those to recoup that money. That's the architect. Typically, like I've told Blake and the Bond Oversight Committee, when I reported to them earlier this week, those are costs that generally the architectural firm, they'll say, it falls under our standard of care. It's typical where no architect is perfect. No set of drawings is ever 100% perfect. It's under errors and omissions.
Is there not also a percentage error that there?
No.
That was in our prior projects. They could make a mistake with a percentage error and it's not their
responsibility. Not for architectural. It really does fall. And I see it in every single architect. And I've argued this with legal counsel. There's got to be a better way to protect us, and it falls under standard of care. It's human error. In this case, though, PBK saw that I was, immediately, the first thing I was gonna do was, how are you gonna pay for this? Who's gonna be paying for that? We're not gonna be responsible. And they stopped me and they said, let us come up with a solution. We'll discuss cost later, but we're in agreement. We screwed up. So the fact that they took ownership, we haven't gotten there yet, like I said, but I never hear that. Never.
Yeah, they did a good partner.
They have. They've been a good partner. They've taken a while to come up with a solution, but yes.
There's something to pay for it. Oh, details.
When
Yes.
you mentioned the main entry, you're just talking, you have to move the main entry ramp.
Main entry ramp and now the gate. So rather than being very obvious from the ramp, go up to the main door, now we're gonna go ramp from the parking lot, ramp, turn left, turn right, go in. It's gonna look a little off, but it's gonna work. It's, I mean, it's, at the end of the day, we'll try to clean it up. I'm sorry?
It's gonna be navigable for some.
It will, absolutely,
Just wanted to
absolutely.
Make sure it wasn't the main entry of the building, because that would be a big.
No, 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 no. The main entrance is fine. So it's just to the gate and it'll be accessible. I can't tell you how many meetings we've had on site on this, looking for several options. The good news is, like I said, the actual work in the buildings, both the exterior paint has already been completed. Since then, we have also, you can see the continuous ramp essentially is all done and complete. These buildings are really taking shape. When we brought them in, they were 3 different colors. They didn't even match. So now they're all the same colors. Exterior doors have been painted. So, and this continuous ramp is really going to be very nice for them. They're not going up and down ramps. Signage is also starting to go in. Like I said, the bollards are now have been painted since they're yellow. And again, that's just to protect vehicles from accidentally hitting the fence. Come on. You can see signage is already going in. This is a view of the interior of the classroom. This is a bit of a week old. We have since started flooring. So the first or the painting is essentially done. I mean, they'll still do some final touch up, whatever we identify in the punch list. But the prepping for the flooring is also pretty much done. With flooring will be done by the end of this week. The kitchen area, the life skills area is also really taking shape. All the millwork is in, countertops are in as well. They're just covered and protected. You can see the floor was already being floated in certain areas. They stopped to focus on another room. But since then, there's been a lot more progress. All of the appliances have arrived on site. They were just waiting for the flooring to be completed so that they can start installing them. So ceiling tiles have also started being installed, fire alarm, electrical, all the final cabling has been completed. So they're starting to close the ceiling now. Here's another view. Again, outdated, you can see the stove, the range there. Okay, any questions on SLC? If not, I'll move on to the next project.
Do we have a proposed
Move-in date?
date?
Yes, so we are going to be done with the buildings by the end of this month. The issue is that ramp. I still have to get that. The fabrication of the ramp's not a problem. It's already being fabricated. In fact, it's coming next week and it'll be installed. But then they have to do the grading around it and do all that work. So those posts will be cut tomorrow in preparation for next week, for the extension to come in. According to the contractor, he thinks it'll be done by the end of the month. Perhaps we'll push for that. I already spoke to Sarah. I met with Sarah. In fact, we're meeting with Sarah on Monday to walk the project site just to give her a sense of comfort. I gave her 2 options. We can certainly move you in over winter break. Yes.
Can I answer this?
Yes.
Okay, I think, we have to just figure out the best time for kids and for the move. And we don't think it's gonna be during the natural break of the holiday, which is what we're hoping for. So now it's a matter of figuring out, is it better to do it, at another natural break? Or do it in the middle of a semester? So we don't know. So I guess to answer the question, we still need to get more information in terms of actual completion, and then we'll deal with sort of the logistics.
Bottom line, not the original plan, so we're
Correct.
having to pivot and we don't have all the information.
Correct.
The week of December 22nd was when we were planning to move them in. That's just around the corner. So it doesn't seem reasonable.
The good news is that they kind of like the facility that we.
They're very happy. That's what she said. So she wasn't completely upset So we're working through that.
Are there liquidated damages due to the delay at all?
Yes, $1,500 a day.
Something we'll be charging.
We certainly can. And we will. Some of this stuff is outside of their delay. I can certainly charge for non-change order work, but for example, the ramp, they can't complete the job and that is not their error. This is the architect error. So even if they were done, if that ramp was not the main entrance, it was the one in the back, absolutely I would be charging them. But in this particular case, they're not,
We just want
yes.
to motivate them and like.
They are. Trust me, they're extremely motivated, especially when they see us out there every day counting staff members and checking progress multiple times a day. They are really moving. Moving on to Wiseburn Sports Complex. This is another project that is really taking shape. Percentage of completion is 86%. As you know, we had some delays with this project as well early on with the soil, the soil being extremely saturated for several weeks. We got past that. We were tracking at that point February 11th. We also had some additional rain events, and now we're tracking the end of February. However, we have commitment. I've met with all of the contractors involved, Erickson Hall, Byram Davy, and Tenkati. These are major players. And we have commitment that we will be able to celebrate our ribbon cutting ceremony on February 28th. That's a Saturday. Assuming there's no major storms that cause some, because what I was telling the bond oversight committee, one rain event because on a project like this, which is all exterior pretty much, one rain event translates to about 4 to 5 days of dry time, especially because of our soil condition in this site. It just doesn't dry fast enough.
And just that's a surprise to Wiseburn Little League if they're listening, because February 28th was planned. We haven't told them yet. That is their opening day as well. So we thought it would be a good kind of start to the field to have their opening day on the same day as the ribbon cutting, but they don't know that yet unless they're watching.
We feel a ribbon cutting you can have. but I think
When I stepped out, when the board meeting, I said, I'm about to report. You better confirm, because I met with them, everyone on Monday. I met with everyone last week. And today they said, we feel even better as of today. They did a lot of work. They got a couple of days ahead of the original schedule that we're tracking. So again, just pending some crazy rain event, we should be good. Okay, moving on to the progress. As you can see, color coat was already being installed in the stucco. This is for the concessions and restroom building. You can see the main entrance, the decorative gates are in, the covered canopy as well. This is a better view. This is the backside. You can see the entrance to the boys and girls restrooms. You can see the storage, the roll-up garage door there. The areas where you see the red tape, that's where LED strip lighting will be installed. So at night, that building will light up and then create that shape. When I took this picture, 3 out of the 4 dugouts had been erected, painted, and the metal decking installed. Since then, the 4th one has been completed. In fact, it was completed today. That was the other thing that they shared with me during that phone conversation. The concrete ribbon seat bench walls complete, and trees have already started arriving. Irrigation's in. They're being installed. They started it already. Landscaping started. So again, it's starting to really take shape. You can see here a view of the field, baseball field backstop. We turned over several portions of the job to Tenkati about 5 weeks ago. And they have done much of their perimeter drain lines that have been installed. They've been trenching for that. Tomorrow, they're going to start installing the base at the soccer field. So they started with the soccer around the perimeter of the soccer field. And we'll start now. We have synthetic turf, the carpet, being delivered on December 18th, and it'll start being rolled out shortly after, maybe a couple of days after that. So it's just around the corner next week. They are working very closely with Byram Davy and Erickson Hall, because there's still a lot of work by everyone. So they're just coordinating and closing certain areas. And as an area is finished by Erickson Hall, is turned over to Byram Davy, then Tenkati. So it just requires a lot of finesse and sequencing. And they're working. The boys are behaving in the sandbox. They are. You can see here, they were test fitting the removal outfield fence. Some of this, there's a quick view of the scoreboard. All of the scoreboards are in for both the softball, baseball, and soccer. You can see here the soccer field was fine graded right before it was turned over to Takati. Here you can see the digital display, the dual-sided digital display. It's on site. We cannot install it until that area is, right now, Tancati's working on along that area. So hopefully by Thursday of next week, Erickson Hall, according to the schedule, will start erecting, well, not erecting, sorry, erected, but installing the actual display. You can see the soccer scoreboard there as well. Any questions on the sports complex? Okay. Del Air Baseball Field. Happy to report that it's looking really good. We have gone through 2 maintenance and establishment periods, but we are now at a point that we feel very comfortable, and we have met with various coaches. We've been working closely with Coach Zeke. He was out there again this week on Monday, teaching the marina people how to use the nail drag machine, and how he wants it done so that they can continue to do it going forward. But all of the issues that we had identified early on have been corrected. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Winter grass has already come in as well. So much better. So much better. Come on. You can see still a couple little flags. Here's one here, for example, a couple over there where, when we walk out, we meet there every week on Monday, and just want to make sure that the grass is growing. And if it's not growing, like there's an area, like if you were already going right next to the Da Vinci Connect DG playground area, there's an area there that was extremely saturated during the rain events. It just wouldn't dry. We thought there was a leak. I had them check everything. We even brought the district's grounds crew. Everyone checked. There is no leak. It just takes forever to dry, which is consistent with the soil issues that we're having with the SLC project and we had with the sports complex. So it's just a common issue. Once something just gets overly saturated, it just takes a while to dry. So they have since added additional topsoil as of this week. On Monday, they also added additional seed, and now it's just a matter of continuing to take. But when we walked it with Da Vinci and Coach Zeke, and we have walked it, everyone that sees it, they're like, oh, we're ready to take this over. We're happy. We're good with it. I just need Blake to bless it. We were supposed to go today, but.
Doing a little grand opening on this, I think there's a lot of people in the community that are not aware. Like to say they're not aware. Sure.
The only thing that's
should have a conversation.
The only thing that's pending is we have requested quotes, and we have received them from 2 out of 3 contractors to provide netting along the west side of the field where the really tall glass building is. Well, cars, but just a lot of glass, and we know what happens to glass. So we have received a quote. One of the quotes came in at 101. The other one came in at $74,000, which is right below our bid limit. So it's promising. We're still waiting for one more that is scheduled to arrive by tomorrow. And then at that point, we will release it to the lowest contractor.
When will this be ready for use?
It can start being used as soon as the district says it's ready. We are working through installing that fence, but that is not part of this contract. It would be a separate PO for that. And it takes about a week for installation.
Right?
Yes.
That was yeah.
It better be.
Better be, right, sure.
Come on. Just some additional field pictures. And that's it. The only other thing I wanted to mention is we finally received DSA approval for the Da Vinci Cafe. We have since assisted them with, just took almost a year. in such a small project. We assisted Da Vinci with bidding the project. I'm happy to report that the lowest bidder was Our Dependable, which was our contractor for Delaware TK, Holly Glen TK. Very reliable, very dependable.
Dependable.
Yes, so they're in good hands. I believe they're taking it to their December board for approval, and then we'll start as soon as we get contracts, separate payment and performance bonds in place. We are scheduled to meet with their CBO. Sean and I are scheduled to meet with them just to go over numbers tomorrow. Other than that, we're ready to assist them as needed. And we are continuing to plan and program for 2026 projects. We have scheduled several site walks with our contractors. Just starting to get pricing, starting to create our procurement timelines, and we'll be ready to report on that at the next board meeting. Any other questions?
I think we asked our questions as we went along, so thank you.
Okay,
for the
I'm done.
informative Presentation, thank you.
Ready with that?
All right. Going to go to section 7 for those following online as well, board member updates. I'm gonna start this time on my left-hand side with Rebecca.
All right, can I wake my computer back up here?
No worries.
So, along with all of my colleagues here, I was excited. Well, we missed you, Neil. Was excited to attend the CSBA conference in Sacramento last week. It was a great opportunity, as always, to spend time both with district leadership and with my fellow board members outside of a board meeting, but also in a learning environment, and get to meet many of our fellow board members from around the state, including some of my fellow local progress members, who I don't get to see as often. And so that was great, as well as our grateful to LACSTA for planning the breakfast that we attended on the first day there. Thanks to Tracy over in El Segundo, who's the current president of LACSTA, who we also can thank for helping us have our Measure EE, because she was a consultant on that. But we're grateful for all of that. And there were a couple of presentations I just wanted to highlight that I attended that I thought were particularly useful, and that I hope we bring back. Here, one was on board governance, and I know that Blake and Nisha have been working on some projects related to reviewing our board policies, and when we adopt them, when we review them, what all of that is. And I know Michelle and I were like, that's a lot of information in there. And we know it's an area of growth for us as a board, to have better governance structures and just a regular schedule for reviewing policies and things like that. So very much looking forward in the coming months to being able to implement some of that, hear more about what we've been doing in terms of reviewing them. And then the second one was a really interesting program put on by the Center for Educational Excellence, which is a legislative body or legislative agency that had been working with the Newport Mesa School District on evaluating their special education program and how they're using their aides, how they're improving inclusion practices across the district, and as they told us many, many, many times in the presentation, it's free. But it was something that had been super impactful to them in terms of raising scores for students with disabilities who had IEPs, in terms of like large jumps that they saw from the practices that they implemented, and things like that. So really looking forward to exploring that further and seeing how maybe Wiseburn can use that. I know we've had lots of conversations about our special education expenditures and where our money is going, and conversations around aids and RBTs, and just sort of right sizing what we're doing and making sure that we are really helping students gain independence and have that independence planning, but also have them have the support that they need and really be considered part of the full school, right? All of our students are all of our students, as opposed to sort of segmenting them in different ways. So both of those sessions I found particularly interesting. Looking forward to seeing how we can bring those back to what we're doing here. And then lastly, I just wanted to say I'm really looking forward to attending the holiday informances. Tomorrow is my son's at Aviation, and just wanted to send a good wishes to all of the student performers, informers, I don't know, who are celebrating the holidays at the school sites this week and next week, and looking forward to the upcoming holiday break. I can't believe this is our last meeting of the year. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next we'll go to Nelson at the opposite.
Thank you, Director. I also agree with Rebecca with regards to the CSBA. The CSBA conference was great. It was a great opportunity for us to spend time together, to meet other school districts, superintendent and board members as well, and learn a lot about broad topics, AI, meaning improving student outcomes. So I concur with it. I'm not going to repeat everything. The other item that I wanted to bring up was an opportunity to meet with the president of AYSO organization yesterday. They had been reaching out to me, so I finally had an opportunity to meet with them. And there's a lot of excitement over the Weisburn Sports Complex, especially on 135th and Aviation. So much so that they're getting inquiry from club sports from all over the South Bay. So that triggered them to reach out to me, and a little bit of concern about field usage. So I assured them we are going to have a meeting with the Sports Rec Committee in mid-January. I think Blake is already working on setting that up, and just want to make sure that it's written already in the documents that students first, community second, and then obviously it opens up. So it's something that we're just going to outline and go over and make sure it's clear for not only AYSO but for little meetings and so forth. And along with Rebecca, I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday break as well. Enjoy your time with your family and your loved ones. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Nelson. Next we'll go to Michelle.
Thank you. Yes, again, just to reiterate the fun, the learning that we had. My brain and my heart is super full coming from those days. I am such a nerd around these kinds of opportunities to be able to learn, especially being a newer board member. So being given the opportunity to learn about all the things I do not know, but very excited to be able to take that on. And my colleagues have been so supportive. They would be like, you should go to this one. And so I would, head on and took lots of notes. Really amazing discussions around, like you said, the policy surrounding AI, school finance, because I'm still kind of learning about that. But just really, again, just so grateful for the opportunity to be able to have that learning, and so grateful to have the opportunity to work with these fine people sitting next to me. It makes it so worth it. And I appreciate the time and the genuine love that they have for what they do. So that was definitely apparent. And then being able to be around like thousands of other people that share that kind of same mission, that same heart, was very inspiring. And it was something that I really, really did enjoy. Very much looking forward to the break. What is it? 5 more days, or for me, 5.5 more days. But I am just wanting everybody to make sure it's really, really busy, to slow down, hug your loved ones, and appreciate this time that you have with them. And thank you to the teachers and the staff, schools that are making this a magical season for their kids. So appreciate all the work.
Thank you, Michelle. Next we'll go to Neil.
Well, thank you. As you know, I was planning on joining you. Unfortunately, we lost a family member 2 days before the conference. So thank you all for your kind wishes. And of course, I had my priorities in the right place. I do want to thank Principal Graves at Aviation for her hospitality, and Evelyn Park for her work with our students. The magic of these performances are that word, magical. And I have never heard prior, but is now top of my playlist, Super Santa is on my list. Because that's a winner, people. If you don't know it, look it up, man. It's a great song. And these kids are so cute.
Tomorrow.
I also want to thank Principal Lubes at Del Air and Miss Mayberry for your time at a meeting yesterday where we went through both, I wanted to see the cameras for security. That was very impressive. I'm assuming they're the same at all the schools. The clarity is really good. The imagery, the utility, that was very impressive and pleased to see for safety being our number one priority. And then also got a chance to see iReady. And one of the reasons I wanted to see this was kind of what its capabilities are and dig down, and also to appreciate that this is a big lift. This is a big ask of the teachers. This is a lot to learn. We were commenting that this can be overwhelming to start. I believe in time, this will be magnificent and incredibly empowering. But it struck me, and Shoemaker, I'm going to, I guess, address your comment to some extent, that this, in my professional life, I'm a consultant to CEOs, and the comment and the question we often have, the conversation I probably have with CEOs more than any other, and I think it's really relevant here as well, is the question of pace and capacity. The desire to move very quickly forward, because probably all of us would agree this is the right direction. And then the capacity of the team to handle that. I don't want the team to think that we are oblivious to that. This is a very difficult balance. And I also want to recognize that we hear those comments and we are sensitive to it and will continue to be. So when I saw that, I was both very excited about it. Again, I did not know about the student part until yesterday and more today. But I think the opportunity for data-driven decisioning will just elevate us, and I was excited to see that. So thanks to that and for that presentation. Happy holidays, everybody, and that does it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Also wanted to share some comments regarding CSBA. I've actually been attending the CSBA, the California School Board Association conference, for probably about 20 years now. This is actually prior to me joining the school board. And it is a wonderful opportunity to meet industry partners or board members, superintendents, CBOs, and have some professional development as well for us being here on the board as well. Mr. Vicente Bravo is here in the audience. We were able to catch up with him a little bit because he's also a school board member in our neighboring district at Hawthorne. And oftentimes, even though they're literally down the street, we don't get a chance to communicate. How's your school district doing? What are you guys doing? What are we doing? So definitely a pleasure to see you there, Vicente, as well at the conference. There's probably too many items to share of the items we're going to be bringing back, but I promise not too many, Blake, maybe 3 as we move forward. It was actually a really nice opportunity to actually sit at some of the workshops and conferences and the panels together with Nisha and with Blake. And as we're hearing the conversations from the panel members, hey, we're doing some of those things. It's really enlightening to see that we're doing some great things here at Wiseburn. A lot of folks don't necessarily hear like what we're doing and what we're sharing. So on the recommendation of Dr. Dougal, I think Wiseburn is going to be presenting in the future at CSBA. So that was one of the items. And I'm sure Dr. Silvers and Dr. Dougal will pick a great topic to get the name of Wiseburn out and share some of our best practices and some of the great work that you're also doing here at our teachers in Wiseburn, because there's a lot of great things happening here and oftentimes people don't hear it, so we want to make sure that we share those best practices as well. And along those lines, I definitely wish everybody an unbelievable, wonderful, happy holiday season. Definitely Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, as this is our last board meeting for the year. So definitely thank you for everything you do day in and day out for our students here in Wiseburn. So those are all the general comments. And next we're going to go to district leadership reports. We do have one presentation, right, or comments for our first interim report. Turn it over to Sean.
Yes, I was, Business Services has action items 12.1 through 12.3 up for approval or adoption tonight. So I was actually going to defer my time to that action item for the kind of general overview of my first interim budget report.
Okay, great.
Like we've been kind of belabored by presentation, so I wanted to just.
Great, we'll do it then.
For the time.
He wants to break.
Appreciate it. I understand there's quite a few presentations that are done today, but like I said earlier, there is a lot of great work and things that are happening in the district, and we as a board also want to hear about those wonderful things. So sometimes we have to go through it, but I have to share that it's a welcome opportunity for us to hear what is happening with the district. Time is what it is. So thank you for all of our presenters that came before us today. Okay, Blake, I'm going to turn it over to you for other district leadership reports, or if other people have some.
Right.
I have a mathematics update.
Great,
and,
7.4.
and one of the members I'm going to talk about is right here, Ms. Garcia. So our math team at the middle school, 3 of our teachers are math TOSA, as well as Ms. Mano, who's also here, and myself attended and went on a field trip. We went on a field trip to a middle school down in Orange County, Thurston Middle School, who welcomed us with open arms to see what their tier 2 and tier 3 practices were in mathematics. And so we were able to visit with their team, each of their mathematics classrooms, the practices they were doing, some programs that they were using, how they were implementing iReady into their tiered 1, 2, and 3 instruction, and then really looked at their tutorial period and how can we not reinvent the wheel, but really mimic what good practices were happening. They have the highest test scores in Orange County, and so we wanted to learn what they were doing to go ahead and install that. And they really did give us time to Q&A their teams and learn and develop. And we had quite a fun drive down as a team down there to learn and talk and bond together as well with how we could take that information and then, hopefully implement it within our own school sites here at our school. So thank you to those 3 teachers who were outside of their classrooms 2 days in a row, because we then came back to the introduction of the first pilot that we're going to be doing at the middle school. And so our teachers were each trained yesterday in Amplify Desmos, the first pilot that we will be putting through. So our parents will be notified at the middle school early next week about this pilot program. And Amplify is a program that different than the curriculum that we're currently using. They explore their problems. They use independent practice of the problems. They then do teacher inserts. They call them teacher inserts to highlight the high level mathematics concepts. And then finally, the students then practice to gain fluency in that mathematical practice. So a little bit different teaching than what we've seen in the past. And so our teachers were just wonderful at digging into this curriculum and how to be using it in their classrooms. So, I thank you to all of them, because we're now saying time out in what you're doing and let's try something new and play in a sandbox, while they're currently teaching and grading. And so this is a big ask of the team, but something they wanted to do, and awesome to be able to see them do this in action. In mid-March, they are going to shift to a second curriculum, which is Eureka Squared, the similar curriculum to what we're using at the elementary level. So those are the 2 that the team decided to go with and pilot. So stay tuned, because we plan to come to you with a recommendation at the end of the school year.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Blake?
I just have a quick shout out. It's not really an update from the SPED department, but we have one of our own students, a Weisburn and Da Vinci student, Noah Torres, that was recognized through the AXA Every Student Succeeds Award. He was nominated by his principal, Sarah Green, and Maggie was there to help present the award to him. He represents Weisburn and is a SLC student. And so it was really, he's been a former student of ours. I think Trisha was his teacher in 5th grade when I was his principal. And so just seeing him now as a 12th grader becoming just a very confident, capable, not only student, but person. And that was recognized through his efforts over the course of his schooling. And so it was a really nice way to recognize someone from Weisburn at the awards, which was for the whole Southern, LA, there's sort of South Bay region.
Yeah, for Region 14.
Region 14. So he was our Weisburn representative.
Me?
Yes.
All right.
Dr. Dougal, if she has anything.
I got her.
All right, then it is to you.
Yeah, so I just, Dr. Goldman, I think you sort of stole my thunder. I just want to, say, to the teachers that are here today, to those that came to the last meeting and are sharing, we are listening and we are hearing. Over the last month or so, I think I've had about 30 meetings, met with individual teachers. I've had a chance to meet with some of our union leadership. Appreciate, Dee Dee and Robin for their really fierce advocacy for the teachers. I think that's really important. And it challenges us to be better, to find ways to, my mentor once told me when I was becoming an administrator, I was becoming an assistant principal, and this is that my job was to keep the cows off the track. Basically, I need to keep the train running, and then the principal can do the principal's job. I didn't like that analogy at first, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I do think it's reciprocal. And I think it's our job as a district to keep the cows off the track for the teachers, for the staff, for the students. So we need to be creative. You know, some of this is, some of this is done to us, and we just have to find creative ways to balance time, to temper expectations, to just continue to push forward with the initiatives in the best interest of the kids, while also understanding that there's humans that are also having to do this. And so, for those that think we're not listening, we are. For those that know we're listening, thank you, we are. And it's a tricky, as Dr. Goldman shared, it's a very, very tricky balance to try to make this all work. So I appreciate the comments, really appreciate the feedback. We're going to continue to work to try and make it better. I mean, that's all we can do. We'll work together in partnership to do that. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say that as I started my comments today. I only have a couple additional comments. One is last week, Nisha and I had an opportunity to, we joined CSBA, but prior to CSBA, Sunday after Thanksgiving, we flew to DC as part of the League of Innovative Schools, part of our commitment to that digital promise. And we met with our legislators. We got to meet with Senator Padilla. We got to meet with Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Waters, to discuss some of the sort of pertinent issues related to education. One of them that unfortunately isn't getting enough attention is special education, and the absolute impact that special education for good. We're trying to serve students on an everyday basis, and the lack of resources at the federal level is really, really unfortunate and really unacceptable. So part of our conversation was, full funding. We're going to continue to battle for full funding of IDEA. The federal level, the state's done a good job of stepping up, and the federal government just lags behind. So we, had a chance to do that. Looking at research and development for education, because we know some of the challenges that are facing us today and what challenges may face us in the future. And so just making sure that our voice is being heard at a national level and at the state level is important. So we kind of had that experience and then flew from DC to Sacramento. So DC, two capitals, right? To be able to continue that dialogue on a more local level, state level, in Sacramento, and got to join the board members here today for learning. I really appreciated the presentation, Rebecca, and I was in there by accident. I was supposed to be in another session and it was full. So I ended up in this session that was the best session I've been at probably at CSBA in a long time. And it just happens that way sometimes. And it's because, as Rebecca said, it's free. There's this free service that people just aren't using that gets a really deep dive under the hood of special education. And I just love that term, independence. We're not trying to take services away from students. We're trying to give students services as they become more independent. And obviously, as you become more independent, you don't need as many services. And so it's that path that's really important. Just a really captivating experience. I've had a chance to talk to Dr. Wes Smith from Newport Mesa since then, just to kind of have a better idea what that was like and what that looked like for them, what the journey looked like and so forth. So anyway, really excited about maybe an opportunity to have a study done where we can have some folks come in, a third party come in and see, take a look at our programs. So that was that. And then, I have to end on the highest note of the year, which is the aviation so far. So I'll see others, but the aviation sing-along, it's not the, informances. It was really, really, really awesome. And I told Evelyn Park today, I was like, the kids are performing. It is an actual performance. Those kids are performing I don't know. I feel like every year it gets better and better. And just watching those kids perform up there and dance and just be so proud of themselves and the parents, it's just a truly special, it's like I don't want to miss them. So I'm looking at them. I'm like, well, I got to go to all of them. It's all the same songs, but it's really impressive. So, and I know for the teachers, for Evelyn, of course, but I know individual teachers are putting in that work as well to make sure those kids know that. So, and know the songs and feel comfortable up there. And, it's just so impressive and such a good end to the kind of this part of the year as we go into the break. So thank you, teachers. Thank you to our staff. Appreciate you more than you probably know. And I wish you all a happy holidays and a happy new year. That's it.
Thank you, Blake. Next, we're to the public comment on items on our agenda. Wendy, do we have any public comments on agenda items? Thank you. Next, we are going to go to section 9 of our agenda, which are consent items. And we did pull item 9.6, which is to approve the master service agreement with Hazel Health for further discussion and consideration.
Could I just, Roger, sorry, just to clarify why we're pulling that. We had actually had an agreement with Hazel Health through Los Angeles County Office of Education where they were funding that. We were unclear as to whether they were going to continue to fund it. They were looking for certain grants. So kind of up until the last minute of us pulling this, we were kind of hoping that we would have more information on how they would fund it. We just didn't get that yet. So we have to pull it now. I guess we're pulling it to wait and see, what happens in the future with LACO, maybe as we get into the new year. So the hope would be to bring this back, but now we just don't have the information to do that.
So is there a motion to approve item 9.1 with item 9.6 being pulled?
We have a motion. I suspect there might be some questions on items, so I'll defer to Neil because it'll be a question.
I'll second.
But you have a motion.
Good question. Yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
So motion by Nelson and a second by Neil.
So Dr.
Neil?
Silvers, I have been desperately trying to log in. That's why I wanted to.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I wasn't able to do it.
Yeah.
in time. I know I asked a question of you.
You did.
Regarding a few of the items here, which I
Sure.
didn't have the detail on, and
Yeah.
I know you sent it, but I wasn't able to get it. So
Yeah.
if you could help us out with, I believe it's 9, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, I kind of sent it. I said I sent it and it was sitting in my draft box, so I apologize. I did send it, but it was 5 minutes before the meeting by the time it got sent. So 9.8, this is MIS. Do you want to jump in on that, Kim? That's subject.com.
Yeah, so this is, we submitted for this new program, which is to support our Apex Learning at SLC. So SLC uses Apex Learning for grades 6 through 12. It provides, A through G requirements. It's all online. And so wanting to try to build some better, more interactive opportunities for learning for our students at that school. Sarah has been researching different programs that will embed some AI as well as some more hands-on learning to address some of these things. So she's been able to negotiate having a trial for the second semester to really see if this is something that would be an appropriate fit for the SLC students. And so this is a contract to just allow for
MIS
a
is
trial.
just the provider. of
Just
the
a provider. I did send actually some additional information that we can provide for you regarding, it's called Subject is the name of the program. And so it does talk about all the different components it hits for students in 6 through 12.
Thank you.
Okay, that was 9. So the 9.9 is MBA, and that's, is that Maggie? Maggie, that's you, yeah.
That's me. MBA, we actually approved a plugin from MBA at our last board meeting that's helping us build our report card. Building the report card, Power School is a very robust program and probably the most important program that we have in our district. It houses all of our student data. It is a challenging program because there's no one here in Wiseburn that is an expert in it. And so we're often going to ChatGPT solutions to answers that should be really quick. I always say I would like a tutor, a personal tutor that can just call and ask, how do I do this? And what we did find with MBA is they do provide that. And so we've asked for this contract to go through for 51 hours of consulting. They charge by the minute, unlike other vendors that charge by the hour, which is awesome. And I'm like, and they will, after every phone call, interaction, Zoom, they will provide me where we're at in the contract with questions. And so this is exactly what we need to, one, finish our report cards, because there's a lot of back planning on Power School, and just cleaning up of the data that we have on the ed services side that we then report out to CalPADS. And so really our ed services team is in hope of this approval so that we can move forward with some of the challenges that we face daily that like cripple our day because we don't have anyone to call, and Power School doesn't provide that service to us without a heavy tag or price tag on that. So that's what MBA Consultants is going to provide. And I think there was a question on 910 as well.
Can I just, Maggie, just to share, I want to sort of, I want to emphasize something with how important Power School is our student information system, but also that we literally I think we've had Power School for over 25 years. I mean, maybe it's been 20. It's been here as long as I've been, 18 years, and it was well running by then. So, and in that time, there's always sort of been individuals that kind of had knowledge and did it one way to fix. I'm talking about data, you know, sort of bringing the data in and putting it in. So what we found over the years is just not, it's a hodgepodge in many ways. And so there's a data correction that we need to do. And I think part of this process is us making the data just more efficient within the system itself. So when we pull reports, when we need to utilize that data that's within the system, that we can do in a way that's more effective than we're able to do now, because, you know, we have some fields that just are, you know, fields that are inconsistently used and so forth and so on. So part of this process will be us kind of cleaning up the whole database system itself, to make it more effective, more useful, and more coordinated.
If I could add on to that, one thing we liked with them was that it's a trainer of trainer model. They're not just gonna fix our problem, they're gonna show us how to not do that problem again. And so that was what we're like sold my team, was like, this is what we need, because we don't know how to fix it. We don't just pay someone to do it, like help us learn so we don't make the mistake again, and that we know how to fix the mistakes when they're there. So it seemed like a very.
Offer us an assessment, or are we gonna start with identify, here are our 15 core challenges that need to be addressed?
Yes, I had a list of 5 questions. And so I asked her, I was like, what program, or, you know, which kind of sales model should we go with? Because they approached, you can start with 10 hours. You could start with this up to, it says 51 plus. And so we signed for 51 when I asked her the first question that our team had. And she's like, oh yeah, you're going to need 51 hours. And so I was like, okay, thank you. And that question was, I mean, some people in this room was like, we don't have a system for, how do we have access to Power School for our elementary PE teachers? Like, how do we provide that? I am no pro in that. And we didn't have a solution to anyone on our team. And she's like, no, okay, well, we're going to teach you what that is. And so, you know, really tightening up our securities as well with our teams, but providing the access that our teachers need to be successful in the program too. And then 9-10, I think there was a question on that I heard. So Annabeth Fishman had come in June to work with our Guiding Coalition team on strengths finding. She's actually a Downey employee and an outside consultant. So she's going to be coming in on our February 2nd Wiseburn Mini Conference 2.0. And so we're going to have our next set of teachers trained in Strengths Finder, and then as well as in the afternoon time, our classified staff. So our district office staff, as well as office managers and some of our maintenance and facilities employees. So we're having our next rounds of employees trained, which is exciting to see.
When do we reach all employees?
We hope to have it done by the end of 2027.
Okay, take
Yeah.
one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarity. Just wasn't in the document.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Second. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there, we already had the questions, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Your motion carries 5-0. Okay. And now the fun, hang in there with me. We are going on to section 10, which are our action items. Every year we do a district organization at our last meeting of the year. And I'm going to take these a little bit slightly off order just for simplicity and calling the question. I'm going to go ahead and go straight to item 10.2 of our agenda, is to adopt resolution number 25/26.15, which is certification of signatures. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Becca, Nelson, any questions?
Oh, you skipped 10.1?
I'm just taking them slightly out of order.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. With that, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Now I'm going to request a motion for items 10.1, 10.3 through 10.12, which are all to adopt organizational items. I'm going to go ahead and read the slate that we have currently, and if there's any comments or anybody would like to participate in another committee, then we could definitely have that conversation, but I'd like to just take them all as one slate. Okay. And
So moved. Second, whatever.
so I heard Rebecca.
Yeah.
Motion by Rebecca and second by Nelson. Thank you both. For office of president, this is an individual that I do not know, Mr. Roger Banuelos. That's on the slate. Vice president and clerk is Neil Goldman. Our
Comment?
Sure.
Just, this is the second, typically we have done this in 2-year terms. This is the second of the terms, so thankfully this shouldn't be terribly difficult
because we're likely basically to continue what we have been doing pending any edits.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil. The County Committee on School District Organization is again Roger Banuelos. The Los Angeles County Trustees Association is Roger Banuelos and Rebecca Hamburg-Cappy. Wiseburn Education Foundation is Michelle Legaspi with an alternate of Rebecca Hamburg-Cappy. Budget Representatives is Roger Banuelos and Rebecca Hamburg-Cappy. Facilities and Technology is Nelson Martinez and Michelle Legaspi. Recreation and Community Activities Representative, we heard Nelson earlier, so Nelson Martinez is as one representative, and Rebecca Hamburg-Cappy as the second. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion is Rebecca Hamburg-Cappy and Neil Goldman. Wiseburn Da Vinci Partnership Representatives is Roger Banuelos and Neil Goldman. Classroom Funding Authority, LCFA, that's Neil Goldman, and we were going to talk about an alternate, which we can do in a minute. The Local Public Schools Funding Authority, LPSFA, is Roger Banuelos and Neil Goldman. Just coming back real quick to the Local Classroom Funding Authority, is there someone that would like to serve as an alternate?
I'll serve as an alternate.
Okay.
And you're welcome to come. You can't sit on the dais, but you can come. Or we can switch.
Happy to learn.
We can switch.
Will you let me know those?
Yes.
Michelle Legaspi. Okay. With that, that is the slate. Any comments or questions from anyone on the board?
Happy to continue for another year on the committees that we've been on.
With that, I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor of that slate?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Congratulations to everyone for your service this year and your upcoming service for next year. So thank you very much.
Congratulations to our president and vice president for continuing on.
Thank you. Thank you. Now let me track to see where I left off. I think we're at 10.13. Okay, so is there a motion for 10.13, which is to receive CSEA Chapter 486 initial proposal for the 25-26 negotiations?
Can we move 10.13 and 10.14, and I would so move?
Yes, I would.
10.13 to 10.14. So 10.14 is district response to the initial proposal for 2025-26 negotiations from CSEA Wiseburn Chapter 486. So Neil, and who was the second? Okay. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion also carries 5-0. Thank you. Is there a combo here? No. Okay. Item 10.15 is to approve memorandum of understanding with the Wiseburn Faculty Association, WFA, regarding evaluations committee. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second, I'll second.
Dell and Nelson. Great. Any comments or questions? No? Great. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 10.16 is to receive policies for the first reading, and this policy is related to Title IX for sexual harassment procedures. Is there a motion to receive it for first reading? Nelson? Rebecca? Any comments or questions at this time?
I have just one question, which
Sure.
is, why are we being brought just this policy?
I was gonna ask. Sure.
Or just this one?
Yeah.
We realized that there were some updates that needed to be made to the policy. And so we did want to just bring this to the board and have it updated as soon as we can. We're also working with our legal team as we speak to update other policies to the board at the next meeting.
Okay.
So Monique, this is an updated policy or is it a new
It's
policy?
an updated policy. So we already had a Title IX policy in place. In 2024, there were some updates that all districts were making to the policy. And so we're doing that, proposing that now.
So is it doable to send the board a red line version so that we can see what the changes are? Because it's not a new one. That way we're just focusing our review in terms of the actual whatever the legislative changes are. because we do have a policy already, and it'd be much easier for us to just see what the deltas are, the changes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's just one more comment, which is, I think this is again in sort of in line with that presentation that Michelle and I attended at CSBA that I think the red line for sure, and then just understanding better sort of the schedule of what needs to be updated, when it's updated, and getting some into like a more regular cadence of updating the policies, so that we at least appear to be more on top of it than oh, we found the one that needs to be updated, which is what it sometimes feels like.
Oh, it was that. It was
Yeah.
that. And I know that, we will bring to the board, is it gonna be, Wendy, I'm thinking in January, February, January,
Historically, it's been January.
that will do it. So, and I think what we're gonna do is bring a contract with Gamut, with CSBA, Gamut to actually come out, and they're gonna do a full, like, in-session global, they'll sit with us for 3 days. We'll and so it's gonna be a full update with them, and then they'll also kind of steer us on the update pathway. So we'll know, and it's gonna probably mean that we're gonna have policies every meeting, or at least once a month, if not every meeting. So we'll, I'm sorry. Oh, it's quarterly, sorry. There you have it.
You're gonna have them come out?
Yeah.
You're gonna have them come out?
Yeah, they're gonna come. Yeah, we need a heavy lift.
Okay,
We
so-
had-
So, kind of along with Roger, can they give us the Reader's Digest of like the updates and? Yeah.
Well, so Michelle and I heard about this at the session. It's like a 3-day workshop that they come in and do with district leadership and the board to go through all of the, to do an assessment and really sit with us and see what the statuses of our policies, figure out procedures moving forward to update them, add them to the regular, schedule of what we're doing and that sort of thing. And the fact of the matter is that most districts are doing policies on a regular basis, right? Some of them do it every meeting. They have, just because they don't necessarily meet as often as we do, so they're doing it every meeting. But if we're meeting a couple times a month, so maybe we don't need to do it every meeting, but that there is some regular cadence and there's like a schedule that you're looking at, because every year there are some that you are supposed to be approving, right? And so just wanting to make sure that we're getting back up
It
into.
almost seems like consideration for board policy committee, Michelle.
That was so much considerations in the workshop, but yeah,
I'd be happy to be on that. I kept thinking there's so much work to be done.
Exactly.
I do think bears mentioning that this is we're not delinquent here.
No.
Policies need to be updated because laws change, regulations change, best practices change. Other districts have circumstances that lead to, this was an omission.
Right.
So this is just a natural course of business, but it needs to be done.
For this one in particular, there were two changes, 2 updates. One was that our policy has to include the specific name of the Title IX coordinator.
That's you, babe.
Or the proposed policy, and then the other is that we specify a timeline of reviewing Title IX incidents, which the proposed timeline is 90 days.
Let me rephrase that. Dr. Ingram, thank you for your service.
Much better.
Yeah.
Great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. We are going to move to section 11, action items for facilities. Item 11.1 is notice of completion and release of retention for the district-wide signage replacement project with Kaya Services LLC, which was funded by Measure EE funds. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Becca. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Next item is 11.2 is approval of amendment number 2 with NAZ Building Program Advisors Incorporated for the renewal of a 3-year agreement for the continued Measure EE Bond Program Management Services through December 31st, 2028. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second in a comment.
Second. Neil. Excellent. We'll go to you, Neil.
First of all, Noemi and Cherie, thank you and your whole team for the great work you're doing, keeping us on track. Your diligence is super appreciated. And also a special thanks to Roger and Nelson for reviewing this with your knowledge and background to help give us some perspective on answers that we needed to have. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Just also some comments on my end as well. I'd like to say thank you to the both of you and to your team for your exceptional due diligence and looking out for Weisburn's interests and coordinating with all the different entities, which I won't name everybody, on all of the different projects, and also for your flexibility in your proposal. I know it's not easy staffing bond programs or construction management programs. They have inherent challenges. So thank you for all your wonderful service here to Weisburn. Greatly appreciated. And it's a pleasure to have you as part of our Weisburn team as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And how has it been 3 years? That's
Right?
how are we here?
Presentation. That's what I was one presentation.
I would like to make an amended motion. The presentations in the future can only last 10 minutes.
The time is the time. Yeah, what happened to that?
Does that hurt you? Board member questions?
It does not. It does not. No, thank you very much. I will go ahead and call the question. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Moving to section 12, action items on fiscal. Item 12.1, and I see Sean coming up. So I will read the question and I'll get a motion in a second. Item 12.1 is to approve the first interim report as a positive certification and related budget revisions. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Nelson, a second?
Second.
Michelle? Okay. Sean, you are up.
All right, good evening, members of the board, leadership, members of the public. I will be providing a general overview of our fiscal year 2025-26 first interim budget report update.
Got to point it behind you, probably.
Good job, too. Hop on one leg.
Push it too many times.
Yeah, maybe it was a holiday break. We can fix this. Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe literally get it plugged in. The direct, just put a
Like, why does it have to be the cloud? It's like in the room.
So just a general overview of the topics covered. I'll be given just an overview of the financial reporting requirements associated with the first interim. Just some kind of major underlining assumptions that go into the first interim budget report. We'll do a comparison of the adopted budget to first interim for the general fund, kind of highlight some of the notable differences within our major revenue and expenditure object codes. We'll do the same thing for the multi-year projection for the general fund as well. We'll take a look at both the unrestricted and restricted side of the general fund budget. We'll just cover the kind of the projected ending fund balance for all of our other funds. And then just briefly cover like some of the like next steps and considerations to kind of look at going forward after first interim. Next. Okay.
You or me last time, okay, all good.
So we're at the first interim portion of our financial reporting cycle. And so condition of the first interim, it must be approved by the board on or before December 15th. We must meet the 3% reserve for economic uncertainties. It's a specific format that is required to be submitted to the state. That's our SACS report that you see. It's a standard account code structure report. All districts are required to utilize that format. Within that SACS report, there are established criteria and standards that are reviewed at the county level to ensure that we're compliant with those as well. And then, as I always state, this is a snapshot. It's in time of our budget. It's a fluid document. It's always moving from the time that it's taken to the board. You know, there are already changes that we've incorporated internally. And the first interim budget report, it includes actual revenues and expenditures to date as of October 31st. And happy to report that we did file the first interim report with a positive status that certifies that we're meeting our 3% economic reserve for economic uncertainty in the current fiscal year through fiscal year 27-28. And so some of the major assumptions that are built into the first interim budget For our LCFF revenues, we have our cost of living adjustments built in. Those are per the Department of Finance estimates. So for the current year, the cost of living adjustment was 2.3%. In the out years, 26, 27 and 27, 28, we are projecting a 3.02% COLA and a 3.42% COLA. Our enrollment as it stands right now, we just reviewed our enrollment numbers as of last week, and we'll be filing our P1, which is our first kind of principal ADA attendance report. That'll be due the beginning of January. So we're going with those current assumptions. Our enrollment is at 2,576, so kind of right where we were projecting at adopted budget. Our average daily attendance percentage is at, the numbers are looking about the same as the adopted budget. We're at that about 94.5% ADA to enrollment percentage. And that was flat again compared to our adopted budget. Yes.
Question in terms of, in terms of the policy or the opportunity we had for students to make up missed absences, that did not help or improve the ADA? Or did it have an impact? Did it help at all? Would it have been less?
Do you want to speak to that a little bit, or I can? I know right now, in the adopted budget, kind of in the first interim, we haven't fully accounted for that ADA realization. We're still kind of low in those estimates right now. So just to kind of take a conservative approach, we just kind of want to wait and see how those numbers actually flesh out and reflect in our P2 attendance report, which is the actual attendance ADA that we're funded on. So I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more.
I'll just say, so in short, we're not factoring any recovery. So this is actual ADA without any attendance recovery. As we get, I mean, attendance recovery is just, it's very slow. It's new.
Right.
It's still pretty slow for families. So that's just a conservative approach. We'll see where it goes at the end and see where we need to kind of bolster up maybe some marketing and some encouragement to continue to build that. But this has been a struggle across districts, just trying to encourage people to do it.
Statewide, nationally, that since COVID, the attitude of attending schools changed?
Yeah, 100%. Statewide, I don't know about the country.
And because these numbers they're saddening. It's not a terrible number, but it's not our history.
No, 3%, 2.5% lower.
Yeah, we were at 96, 97.
Third presentation that I attended at CSBA was on like the decline in enrollment.
Yeah.
And just like the factors for that and, and all of those things. So it's definitely not a challenge unique to us. And I think it's one of the reasons why there's been a lot of talk about, can we better use average, like daily attendance? Can we use enrollment rather than daily attendance since enrollment is what we're actually planning for and budgeting for as opposed to who shows up any given day. So it's, it's just a flaw
I know that's been
in
talked
the
about. I
system.
don't know if it's being adopted.
It's
really being talked about.
Yeah, there's
Okay,
a
good.
legislative
That would be a
momentum,
boon
it feels
for us.
like.
And everybody.
California is one of 6 states that still uses daily attendance instead of enrollment.
Well, we're leading.
So, yeah, along with Tennessee, Mississippi, Iowa, and Alabama, I think. No, Texas was definitely on there. Anyways.
One of the things at CSBA was a California governor candidate forum. So I believe there was 6 candidates that presented or were interviewed by CSBA and moderated. And if I'm not mistaken, all of them were in support of going to an enrollment model as opposed to ADA, which is fantastic. It really is, because although our students may not come to school for a variety of reasons, as a district, we don't have the ability to say, oh, we're not going to have our staff there. It doesn't work that way. We have to provide for the eventuality that they all show up at any given time. So I was really encouraging to hear that all the candidates were looking at that funding model.
The the superintendent of public instruction candidates also.
Yeah,
We're all
Yeah, and
universally
think of the relevance of this. That the 1%, last that we checked, was somewhere near $300,000. 285, something like that. I mean, that's material numbers.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's $750,000.
Yeah.
500 bucks.
Right, just in the drop off, yeah.
Rebecca,
Yeah.
can you help us propose a bill now? Let's get it.
And my pushback with that always will be, is that I know that this district will always keep those kids in mind. So yes, our funding might go over to enrollment. However, we should still have, taking a look at if kids are out.
This is about educating.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I know, and I say that knowing that this board will always keep that in mind. Our staff, our schools will always keep that in mind. But I just wanted to say it out loud that we'll still do our due diligence to make sure that we have kids coming to school.
Absolutely.
The 94.5% is what it's looking like statewide. When, historically, post or pre-COVID, it was around, 97, 98%. So it would be wonderful to increase that percentage.
Okay.
So our UPP percentage is about 34.71%. That's based on the 3-year rolling average in our LCFF funding formula. This year, our UPP percentage is a little bit lower, but the way we're funded through the LCFF funding model, we're funded at the higher percentage based on that 3-year rolling average. So if that kind of trend continues, it could kind of impact funding in future years for kind of the supplemental piece of LCFF. So that's something
In
to
my time on
watch.
the board, that's more than 10% down. Remarkable.
Part of the change in the district
Yeah.
demographic.
Oh,
you're saying-
Yeah, the UPP number has dropped by.
Outside your control, Sean, don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, no, that's how they should do it. Just it's fascinating how our demographics are.
Yeah.
It's just changing.
I add this bullet point, we do not receive any concentration grant add-on funds, which, some of our surrounding districts do, who have a UPP percentage of 55% or higher. So it does provide a significant amount of additional funding for those districts. A highlight though, the TK add-on is now $5,545 per student. As of the state budget adoption, that was an increase of $2,397 per TK student per ADA. And so our TK ADA projection is at 167.19. So that's just right there alone. That's about an increase in our funding this year and going forward of about $400,000. And then our TK through 3 students, keeping those class sizes at 24 and a half or lower, we get the additional $1,067 per student funding for keeping those class sizes low as well. And then on the expenditure side for salaries and benefits, our step and column increases for certificate and classified are budgeted at about a 1% increase per year. Our CalSTRS, the employer contribution rate is 19.1%. That's projected to remain flat through the current year and the multi-year. And then our CalPERS employer contribution rate is increasing a little bit in 26-27 and then almost 1% in 27-28. And those rates are contingent upon how the investments in the pool are doing, employer contributions, things of that nature. So that one's subject to a little bit more fluctuation as the years go on.
I think one of the challenges too, when you look at this, is you see COLAs at 2.3, in this COLA environment that we're in, it's like, just inflation increased costs are about 4%. Like, so district, just on average, you're talking about 4+%. So it's not even, COLA's not even covering what the cost increases are for just utilities and keeping the lights and stuff on.
Is COLA a proxy for inflation, basically?
I would leave that to the business guy.
Because the reason why I'm going with this is I think it is fascinating in a declining rate environment that we're projecting inflation, if it is a proxy, to be increasing over the next 2 years, which is not what we're seeing in the investing world.
I would have to leave that to you.
Yeah, I would say it's a little more complex than that on the revenue side, because, the state goes through their whole Prop 98 calculation, looking at the overall state budget as a whole, not just education, but, the total state budget and kind of working within the confines of what they can truly afford to continue to fund. Because as soon as they fund at that increased COLA level, that's pretty much the new benchmark that they have to fund at a minimum for that year going forward. So there's a lot that goes into that calculation.
To your point, because, you know, in CSBA, there's a lot of conversation around the state budget deficit of $35 billion.
Right.
You're absolutely right, but that doesn't make sense, right?
One other thought, just if we do go to enrollment, you can bet, guys, that the per pupil number will be reduced. Just be real. They're not gonna give the same numbers and suddenly give us 6% more. That's not gonna happen. But,
Well, that's what I thought.
yeah.
What? What?
That's the holdup right now, is how you calculate.
How you calculate that, yeah.
Yeah, and what we kind of hear in our budget workshops and our CBO groups is there is kind of a correlation between the COLA and the state giving districts one-time funding. Like, for example, the Student Support Professional Development Block Grant. That's a one-time funding source where we always argue that, well, instead of these one-time funds, why don't you just put that money into the LCFF and fund the COLA at a higher rate? And of course, the state doesn't want to do that because now they're on the hook at that funding level going forward. So it's kind of this ebb and flow of COLA and one-time funding sources. Next slide, please, Jim. So hopefully you can see this clear enough. This is just by major object code category, a comparison of the adopted budget to the first interim. And this is just the general fund and it's the unrestricted side. So I have a column for the differences and then kind of in the explanation column, just kind of highlighting and noting kind of what some of those changes are. So in the LCFF funding formula, there was about a $542,000 projected increase. The majority of that, roughly $400,000, was for that TK add-on, which was not included that adopted budget because we didn't include that. And then the additional TK class that we added over the summer. So that additional TK ADA is the cause for that increase, which is nice. And then on the local revenue side, about a little over $100,000 projected increase. And that's attributable to some coats and grants, some donations received, facility rentals. We're just kind of seeing those trend a little bit higher compared to adopted budget. So we increased budget for that. And then on the expenditure side, in our certificated salaries, every year we know that there's going to be staff turnover. And so this year we are looking at like our new hires, our teacher replacements. And so some of those salaries are actually coming in lower than what we had projected at adopted budget. So there are some savings realized within those teacher salaries coming in a little bit lower than what we projected. Before the state adopted the budget and we were kind of uncertain about some of these one-time funds that were coming through. We had budgeted for some salaries that we needed. One of them was a program specialist. That was some kind of added administrative support at Del Air. In first interim, we're shifting the funding for that position to one of our one-time funding sources, so our Student Support and Professional Development Block Grant. So you'll see kind of some decreases on the unrestricted side, but then you will kind of see some increases on the restricted side of the budget to account for those.
On the certificated salary, isn't it, I just want to make sure that I understand. It's not that I feel like when you say the salaries came in less, it's that we had some veteran teachers retire, right? And we replaced them with newer teachers who would be lower on the step-in column, right? It's not there's not a,
We're not replacing them, just newer teachers come in at a
lower
lower
rate,
rate.
right? Yeah, I just wanted to, it sounded a little odd to my ear, so, okay, all right, okay.
We've actually increased our FTEs for certificated staff with the additional TK classes and additional special education teachers. So to see a savings is truly the retirements from our veteran teachers and then hiring newer staff. So we've actually increased our FTE, but then decreased our expenditures for that specific line.
And then some of the extra duty and subs kind of associated with our professional development for some of the initiatives that, we've been discussing. We moved those salaries and benefits to our one-time funding sources. And then on the classified side, you'll see an increase there as well. We've hired an additional IT tech support. And our IT tech manager, we've increased his FTE, so his salary as well. We've really had increased needs associated with technology and the whole network infrastructure improvement project. So just obviously a lot more things are online. We're utilizing a lot more softwares. And so that we are just addressing that need there.
And there's a qualitative comment I want to say, is that one of the biggest complaints, or I'll say a big complaint that we received and throughout just from staff, from teachers, from our office, office folks is that tickets weren't being managed, and we were not able to address some of the issues with the network, and they were blaming Jim. And I was like, you can't keep blaming Jim for, no, I'm just kidding, Jim. Jim's like, what's it? No, so, it was as we developed this new program, it was really taking a look at how can we address all the issues? Because I mean, it's a highly technical district. We have lots of technology that's being used and we just didn't have the support. So luckily we have a really good team. And I know Jim is working hard with that team to kind of pull them together and make sure that they have the resources they need to do the work. So definitely thanks, Jim, for the leadership there and for helping us kind of find our way.
And also some additional playground aids at Aviation. And then on the employee benefits side, some of that corresponds to that reduction in salaries. And then after every kind of open enrollment period, we look at our health and welfare. We do an analysis to see kind of what's the comparison of who's taking which health plan versus not. So there was a slight reduction there as well. We've increased our expenditures for books and supplies. That's to account for our LROP program. Some of the Power School augmentation that Maggie was referring to, some additional TK supplies to supply some of those classes, some added iPads for student use, and some laptops, printers for staff use, and then we're replacing some radios, which are a little bit costlier than anticipated. And then in our services and other operating, some of that professional development that we had there, we're moving to the restricted side of the house to spend down and utilize our one-time funds instead of it hitting the unrestricted side. And then when you look at capital outlay, we purchased some new copiers at Aviation because those were definitely end of life. And so overall, it's had a positive impact on the net change in our fund balance compared to the adopted budget. We're still projecting some deficit spending, but it's at a lower level than originally anticipated. And so that's continuing to hit our bottom line. We're still able to commit the $500,000 in our fund balance, our 3% reserve, and then the rest falls to the bottom in that kind of unassigned fund balance. So happy to report that. On the can you go back one, please, Jeff? Sorry. This actually works. Okay, so again, a comparison of the adopted budget to first interim, and this is just focusing on the restricted side of the general fund. So a slight increase in our federal revenue. That's kind of an update of our self-allocation, so our federal dollars for special ed. And then incorporating any carryover funds that we had as a result of year-end close. And then on the state revenue side, you see a big increase there. And again, that's for that student support professional development block grant and the continuation of the LREVG one-time block grant as well. And then on the local revenue side, some additional grants received, League of Innovative Schools, some of the smaller grants that we've been working through with our grant writer, Bridget. And then on the certificated salary side, again, you kind of see that shift from the unrestricted side to the restricted side. So moving that additional admin support at Del Air through the program specialist. We have the addition of the special ed teacher, and then some of those extra duties and sub costs associated with our ongoing professional development for our initiatives. On the classified salary side, you do see an increase that's mostly attributable to our special ed instructional aids and kind of the movement of SPED aids to RBTs. So that's an increase there, but there is kind of a corresponding decrease to our services and other operating because we've been able to bring in more instructional aides to the salaried side, so as district employees, and so that's kind of offsetting and lowering the cost that we've been utilizing through contracted services. And then in books and supplies, you'll see a very large increase. That's for that Chromebook refresh. It's basically due to the timing of that purchase. We had originally had attributed that to the fiscal year 24-25, but we didn't receive those Chromebooks until after June 30, so that expenditure just gets shifted to the new year. And then in services and other operating, there was that decrease for the SPED IAs, but that had corresponding increase due to some SPED placement. And then just some settlement costs that we're kind of seeing come through this year. And then in other outgo, you'll see a decrease there, and that's just kind of decreased utilization of our SELPA, kind of our regionalized services program that we operate through them and utilize. And then let's see, moving forward. So here is our multi-year projection. This is the unrestricted side of the general fund. So these are our 2 out years that we're required to produce. So fiscal year 26-27 compared to fiscal year 27-28. These are kind of the differences noted here. It's our LCFF funding source. The difference there is a result of that, the COLA increase. And then in our contributions, there's a slight increase there, and that's just an increase in our projected SPED costs for the MPA, MPS placements and continued settlement cost. And then in certificated salaries, again, step and column, and then kind of the expiration or spending down of some of those one-time funds, some of those salaries and extra assignment subs kind of for continuing professional development are shifting to the unrestricted side because we're basically fully utilizing those one-time dollars. And then on the employee benefits side, you'll see a pretty significant increase in our health and welfare benefits. So in fiscal year 26-27, we are using the arts, music and instructional materials one-time block grant to basically cover some of our health and welfare costs to the tune of about $400,000 in the current fiscal year, or excuse me, in fiscal year 26-27, we're utilizing the student support and professional development block grant to kind of continue the funding of those health and welfare costs to the tune of about $400,000. And so once those funds are fully expended, then that health and welfare portion, it's basically shifting back to the unrestricted side of the budget. Because it's
So is this really $500,000 in added expense, or is it simply the way we're recording?
It's the way we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a standalone addition. It's the shifting of those costs
We're
from.
using those funds from other sources to cover this. It's just because we're not using the funds, it's not reported.
Exactly. Now it's moving back over to the unrestricted side. Yes, thank you for that.
Sean, why are contributions carried under revenue instead of expenditures?
Because the way the SACS, the standard account code structure and the format treats contributions, it basically treats it as a revenue on the unrestricted side that's contributing to the restricted side of the general fund. So it takes the contributions and it basically credits it as a revenue. So on the restricted side, for example,
Yeah, that's.
But it's negative, so it's really an expense. I mean,
That's what it's.
yes, yeah. So and the majority of contributions are for the special ed program because, it's woefully underfunded from the federal and the state. So when you see that contribution, it's the unrestricted side of the general fund, the revenue side, basically contributing to that program to fully fund it. It's confusing. Yeah. It's a way for us to account for those programs. So we account for all the expenditures of special ed on the restricted side. So we know what the true cost of that special ed program is. And then we just contribute an amount from the unrestricted side to basically to balance it. But and this is where it's recorded, but it's just
Recorded there.
yes. Yeah.
Let's try to change this accounting principle.
they're trying every year. They add fun new items for us to incorporate every single year.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Let's see, where
I
was
think
I?
I ask that question every year.
Yeah, and then you'll see a differences in our services and other operating. There's a slight decrease in 27-28. The fiscal year 26-27 is a board member election year, so we have to include additional costs which are out of our control for the actual election of board members.
We're gonna take it back.
Yeah. And then the multi-year projection, the restricted side of the house. So in state revenue, you'll see an increase here, and that's just that cost of living adjustment being applied to our special ed funding, our lottery funds, and some of our other state funds that receive COLA. Again, on the contribution side, just a projection of just continued increased costs for SPED with just the numbers going up, the rising cost of MPA, MPS, the settlements, you name it. Kim's doing a wonderful job of trying to contain it as best as she can, but it's just one of those services we have to provide. Then on certificated salary side, again, just kind of moving some of those salaries onto the unrestricted side because we fully expended and expired some of the one-time funds. And then for the employee benefits side, again, that was that $400,000 in health and welfare costs that we're funding with the one-time funds. It's moving back over to the unrestricted side. And then the services and other operating again, which is kind of in unison with those contributions, just those increase in SPED costs, and then taking into account CPI on just kind of all the above. Here are the projected ending fund balances across the board for all of our other funds. Here, I just want to highlight all of our funds, everything's in good standing. We have projected ending fund balances across the board. I'll just highlight, I guess, kind of the one to know, again, is the enterprise fund, the childcare, the preschool fund. You see that as negative. Again, that's just because we had to record that net pension liability associated with all the salaries that are within that fund. To me, it's not a true representation of that fund. We make sure that it operates basically a balanced budget. So to the extent that the revenues do not cover the expenditures, you'll see an associated transfer in from the general fund to kind of offset those costs.
I have a good question.
Yes.
Developer fees, we used to see a report with the line item typically for big projects that within a boundary, like for example, the smart procurement. So are we getting that, or when does it come? Because we used to see a report at times some of these big projects were coming in.
Yeah, I will definitely take a look at that and see kind of what that report looked like, where the information was sourced.
Miscellaneous.
It was not,
Miscellaneous.
it's miscellaneous, it wasn't PS, it was miscellaneous receipts.
I typically see the residential, but we used to have for commercial, list them out. Now, that's the question I have. Are we incorporating it into the, like I saw I saw Rebecca's smiling, she knows what I'm saying. I saw the residential ones. I just was wondering, are we putting the commercial ones in that same report?
Yes, when you see that miscellaneous receipt report, that accounts for all the developer fees that we receive. I thought you were asking more of like a projection.
Yeah, we used to do them separately where you would see like some of the big projects. That's why I'm asking. So
Okay.
that's fine if it's in there. I haven't seen the spark, so I mean.
Yeah, exactly. That's one we haven't seen either. We're kind of waiting with bated breath to see what that actual amount comes in. But yeah, we haven't seen that yet. Yeah, that one will be significant.
Yeah, something like that. Okay.
Yeah, but we have not received that one today yet.
I know the deferred maintenance, I can't remember if it's routine or deferred. the summer dollars. We usually use, I can't remember which account we use for the summer.
So yeah, depending on the nature of the project, we'll use a combination of routine restricted maintenance and deferred maintenance. We'll tend to use deferred maintenance if it's more of a significant project and if it's a project that will extend the useful life of whatever it is that we're doing. If it'll extend the life, 5 to 10, 15 years, depending on what that specific project is, whereas routine restricted maintenance is more kind of repairs or just general.
Yeah, I guess where I was going though specifically was I'm not trying to create extra work, so I don't really need to do that, or we need to do this, but it would be, when I look at that 285, I have no framework for, should this be 800,000 or 50,000? I just don't have a framework to understand what we're gonna need and what the typical is every year.
Just be grateful that it's 285.
I'm glad it's positive, for sure. But I know sometimes we'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars over the summer. And so I don't know, is that enough? I don't know.
I mean, we do have the other kind of project funds where we can kind of get creative with our sourcing of projects depending on the nature of it. A good portion of that deferred maintenance balance is the monies that we receive from AYSO for the replacement of Del Air.
And I was going to say too, one of the things, there was a point when, Neil, when we did bring during the pandemic, or right after the pandemic, we brought a few $100,000 worth of, but that was kind of catch up. That was when Noemi first came on 3 years ago and we did a full sort of update.
I know that was a big summer.
Right. But typically we're not spending that kind, and we're trying to live within the routine restricted maintenance contribution. I mean, we'll do a little bit less deferred, and we're trying to just keep the routine maintenance, which is mandatory. It's like statutory that we do. So that's usually where we're living. So we can distinguish it when we bring it to the board.
Like they're not only positive, which we're good about it, but are they in line with what we expect, hope, want, and will keep us covered? That's.
I'm happy that we have a deferred maintenance fund and a balance, because if you can recall back in the days of revenue limit, we actually used to get funded with deferred maintenance dollars. And then when the state shifted over to LCFF, they basically rolled in a lot of different programs, and one of them was deferred maintenance. They just rolled it into kind of the base for LCFF and just said, here you go, manage it however you see fit, local control. So the fact that we do have that balance and we have those funds earmarked is good. Yeah. A lot of districts do not do that.
Yeah.
Some of the just things that we consider going forward. Obviously, we're mindful of the potential impact of any bargaining unit items, negotiations. As you know, we always do an AB 1200 where we'll incorporate the cost of those potential negotiated items into the budget. That goes to the county for review. They say yes or no, and then we take that to the board for approval as well. And then we'll have the governor's 26-27 January budget proposal. We'll have that. I want to say it's January 20th or 21st. We'll have that kind of budget workshop with school services, and we'll get much more insight as to what the governor's kind of thinking or projecting going forward. And then, of course, I had to put this out there. Any federal funding uncertainties, thank you. That's a good way to put it. It's very uncertain.
The whole of federal funding is $1 million to the restricted side. 1 point something million, I think, to the restricted side, the federal dollars.
A significant portion of that is definitely special ed, but yes. So any impacts we'd have to kind of weigh as they come along. But yeah, it's uncertain. I never know what's going to happen there.
All right.
And then thank you to our business services support team. Everybody's wonderful and does a great job. So kudos to them.
Thank you, Sean, and to the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you to the team, and thank you for the positive certification.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Sean. We have a motion from Nelson, a second from Michelle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.2, is to adopt resolution number 25/16.15 regarding accounting of developer fees for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Is there a motion? A second?
Second.
And I believe, Neil, you had a question. Did you receive an answer to your question?
Unfortunately, I couldn't read it. This one, the question was simply, it's asking for is this the insurance one? Is this
the developer?
Developer
I
fees.
believe the question was regarding the developer.
Nelson, I think that was your question, no?
No. Mine was on
I already
12.3. I
asked my
must have
question.
typed wrong.
Yours is
It's on
12.3.
Yeah, Blake, my question was already.
Got it.
It's about the developer fee justification.
Yeah, you answered it.
Okay.
Yes.
In that case, I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Item 12.3 is consideration and proposed discussion and or adoption for resolution 25/26.13 to withdraw from schools excess liability fund, a joint powers authority and excess risk pool. Is there a motion?
Motion and a question.
Neil?
I'll second that.
Okay,
My
Neil?
question is, so as I understand it, this is at the recommendation of ASKIP that we exit out of this one particular additional policy because they're renegotiating it. We're trying to find a better solution. This is ideally, however, a policy we need. So the hope is they get a better solution. So my question is, what is they suggested in the document, if I read this right, there is a rescission period where we can say, we don't want to get out. But I did see the timeline, and I want to make sure we knew that timeline and we're really adroitly keeping track of that timeline to ensure we are safe.
So the timeline for that is, so basically, we're bringing forth this resolution to basically give ASKIP the opportunity to kind of explore other options for that excess insurance layer. So the $5 million to $50 million layer that we have coverage for. So either way, we're going to have that coverage. It's just kind of a question of can ASKIP, and a number of districts are doing this so that ASKIP kind of has the direction to be able to even explore this option, to see if it is viable, to see if it makes sense, to see if we can get additional rate stability, see if we can get, some potential savings in the actual rates that we're paying for that insurance. Some better kind of management of the claims as well. The AB 218 has escalating jury verdicts. Costs associated with those payouts is kind of hammering this layer of insurance. So this is just them wanting to explore that option. If it doesn't look viable, the district can basically rescind the cancellation or the opting out of self, and we can just continue to have our coverage.
Is there a timeline on that? So we know the date of that?
Sorry, that's June 30th, 2026.
Before end of fiscal year.
Prior to
Yes.
July 1st.
Got it.
June 30th, 2026 is that.
Red letter
deadline.
that.
That's the way I understood it, but I had to reread this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sean, couple questions. Does ASKIP currently have a program and a service that will provide these insurances? Or are they looking to develop a program that would provide those insurances?
They're looking to develop that program. So they currently do not have it in place. That's why we're a part of the Self JPA, because they're the ones who currently administer that program on behalf of ASKIP members.
So there's no guarantee that ASKIP will actually provide a better service or a lower rate than what we're currently getting.
Correct.
That's my concern.
They are confident that they will, but it's not 100%. So there is the option of adopting this resolution, or there is the option of not adopting it. And ASKIP, if they still have enough members, they can continue to go through this process, and we could potentially wait out a year and maybe try this again a year later and opt into the program, since it still would be kind of new. So I don't know.
So what is the risk in terms of cost to us by opting out of self if we want to come back? Because if ASKIP doesn't have the program in place, would self add us back at the same rates or at a higher rate? Or do we have to renegotiate our current fees?
No, it would be similar to us basically not opting out of the program if we were to come back in. They wouldn't renegotiate our rates. It wouldn't be like a vetting process again.
It'd be status quo.
Yeah.
We're thinking of leaving, so go ahead and check it out.
Yeah.
We either are leaving or we're not leaving June 3rd.
If we're not leaving, it's no harm, no foul, it's saying it's status quo, it's what we're paying now and what we're getting now. Leave, hopefully it's.
So I think Roger's point is interesting that if I was providing this, and I see a lot of people potentially ditching, when they decide they're gonna come back because you didn't find a better deal, I'm gonna up the fee. Yeah, that seems like a very
Right.
rational concern.
Absolutely.
Or it could go the other way. They could potentially say, hey, we're gonna lose your business.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
And we could maybe offer you
That's
beneficial
fair.
rates to basically bring your members back. So yeah, it could go either way.
So what is what would be the option if ASCIP doesn't set up this program? Granted, you sound like we come back to self, but what if the rates and I guess maybe you already answered that question. We'd be given the same rates that we currently have. We're hoping, right?
I don't think we actually leave until June 30th, right? So we can still rescind this prior to that, which it sounds like they're gonna have an answer for us prior to June 30th. So there's never any time that we're out. Right? We
This
get
is
to-
a,
we- yeah,
this
this
is
is
a
just
vote
a-
to give permission
Yeah.
to leave.
There you go.
It's just weird the way,
Yeah.
like, if you look at the
Yeah.
application.
It's very odd.
written.
It's very.
Yeah.
And it's needed insurance. It's not like we can do without if something were to happen. That's what.
Yeah.
We're-
My understanding was
either
that
way,
we were
not
never
gonna go
out.
without.
It's just opening this period of time. Right?
Very strange.
So there are some districts who have decided not to bring this forth, and then are some districts who are doing the same thing and bringing
Your
this
recommendation
adoption
is
for the
that we do
resolution
it.
forth. To
And
the
we- yeah,
districts.
that's-
Some of our surrounding districts are doing the same thing.
But your recommendation is that we do it.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Like the lady.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? I got one eye. Aye.
Aye.
2, 3.
Guys.
Hello, are you voting? Yep, no.
He said aye.
Here we go. Aye.
Okay. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
You keep talking to me.
And I had extra.
It almost didn't pass. Great. Okay, we're on to section 13, which is closed session. Blake, do we have a need for a second closed session?
Just about 45 minutes.
Great.
Just kidding.
We're gonna.
No closed session.
Okay, any final comments on upcoming dates and events, Blake?
No, I mean, I just want to point out, aviation at Del Air, we have that one aviation performance left tomorrow at 9:30. And then Del Air and Holly Glen following week. So, if you can make it, it's gonna be awesome.
The 19th is a shortened day, right?
Friday.
Yeah.
Friday the
correct.
19th.
Yeah.
Super Santa, I gotta check it out.
It's not on the thing. I mean, like, it should be like a thing. It's the day.
Okay. Great. Well, as we usually close, I want to thank everyone for all your contributions and thank you for making Weisner just a little bit better every day. And thank you, everybody, for your presentations and comments tonight. Definitely heard you and appreciate all of your involvement and happy holidays. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Good motion.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.